Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, the Luffy Fanfics, back with Amazing Fanfiction. This is the second part of What If Godlike Luffy Became Gamer Protagonist. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. Gingerly, I pulled the hat off my head and handed it to her. Thanks, I said. What do I gotta do? She took the hat and popped it right back on my head. I don't have anything to fix it with right now, dummy. For now, follow me back to Buggy's ship. He has a bunch of the villagers' stuff and I told them I'd bring it all back to them. I stared at her for a moment. She ran into the villagers. When was this? It must have been when Zoro said she went to go do thinking or whatever. Right. I didn't even know that they were still around. They must have been having a pretty tough time. I looked to Zoro to see if he was thinking what I was thinking, but it didn't look like he was paying attention. I think I understand, I told Nami. You act all mean, but you're actually nice, right? Her face was red. What the hell are you talking? Never mind. Just follow me to the ship, okay? It's a lot of stuff, and I'm not sure if I can grab all of it on my own at once. Okay, I agreed easily. Gotta grab something first, though. She and Zoro stared at me curiously as I walked back to where Big Nose was lying like a sack of potatoes. He had a ponytail hanging off the back of his head. Convenient. Hey, Zoro, could you get this for me? I pulled him up a little and he kind of just hung there. Nami crossed her arms. What do you mean? Sure, S-H-I-N-K. Eek. I brought Big Nose's unconscious, disembodied head up to eye level and nodded to myself. MHM. Yeah, that's pretty creepy. Nami grabbed her chest and leaned forward. You scared the crap out of me. What do you need that for? I have questions that he hasn't answered yet, so he's gotta answer them. Yeah. She never stopped staring at the head until we got to where we were going. X. You have found. Would you like to transfer these items to your inventory? Yes, no. There were stars in my eyes. I heard Zoro whistle behind me. An actual pirate's treasure. There was so much of it. Yamato would be so angry if she found out that I found one of these before she did. So we just gotta bring all of this back to the villagers? I asked. Nami crossed her arms in front of her. No, only what I tell you to bring. The rest is, they don't need all of it. Here, hold this bag. I'll put stuff in it. You carry it. No, okay. Zoro and I waited for Nami to figure out what we were taking back to the village with us. Since it was really boring to wait without doing anything, I swiveled my head around and looked around the room for anything interesting. My head stopped moving. I dropped the sack in Big Nose's head. Zoro frowned at me. Boy, what are you? He trailed off. He watched me walk away in a trance toward the giant club thing lying flat in the middle of the room. Nami noticed what was going on. Oh, that, she said. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about either. Buggy seemed to be hanging onto it for some reason. Maybe you can ask him why once he wakes up. I think I know, Zoro muttered. You sense it too, don't you, Captain? The aura surrounding that thing. It's not normal. Of course I could sense it. I knew exactly what this was. It's Takaru, I told them. Nami crossed her arms. Takaru, she repeated. Who's that? They didn't get it. I picked Takaru up and held it over my shoulder. I ignored the choking and gasping noises from behind me. Takaru is this thing. Yamato's weapon. That thing's huge. Nami commented uselessly. Of course it was huge. That Yamato person, just how strong is she? Zoro asked me. The tone of his voice made it sound like he wasn't all there right now. How strong was Yamato? I looked deep into Zoro's eyes. My smile was showing lots of teeth. Super duper strong. Do you think Buggy might have taken it from her? Nami asked. Not a chance. I shot that idea down right away. Big Nose is a weakling. She definitely lost it when our dinghy got caught in that whirlpool that separated us. Whirlpool? Nami screamed. Zoro scratched his chin. I'm surprised anyone found it. Something that heavy must have dropped straight to the bottom of the ocean. Forget that, interrupted Nami. You were hauling that thing around in a dinghy. How did you even float? I thought about my answer for a second. Right. I slammed my fist into the palm of my opposite hand. It was a really strong dinghy. That's not how boats work. Be serious. The woman's got a point, though, Zoro muttered. We're gonna want to take that thing back to your friend, right? We'll need a vessel that can actually carry it. I mean, we can just use the boat that we were. No, I crossed my arms and closed my eyes. Something came to me. I know. Let's take Big Nose's ship. Zoro scratched his chin. I mean, sure, why not? It's not like he's using it. Nami raised a brow at us. And do either of you actually know how to make it go anywhere? It's not a rowboat, you know. About that. I marched up to Nami and grabbed her by the arms. She let out a high-pitched squeak that lasted for half a second. Nami, you're funny. Join my crew. What do you mean I'm funny, you jerk? She pulled away. I chuckled and let her go. Nami looked like she wanted to say something. Or was it that she didn't know what to say? I didn't know. I waited. Zoro must have been waiting too. He was pretty quiet, watching us. Drop it for now, will you? Let's get those villagers back on track. First, Tashishi. Sure thing. Leave that head here. What? I just thought. Leave it. Okay. Nami took us to a place that was really out of the way. I thought there would be no one here at first, but slowly, one person at a time, a whole crowd appeared in front of us. A town's worth of people, probably. They were looking at us nervously. Nami-san, Zoro-san, Luffy-san. Kobe ran up to us. I waved at him happily. Kobe, how are you? I heard that you were helping Nami. He didn't really seem to understand what I was talking about, but he didn't think too hard about it. Yeah, well, that aside, what happened to Buggy? Zoro grinned. I flexed my arm. I took his head. Everyone in the crowd started whispering to each other. A strange old man walked to the front of the group with a big frown on his face. Lass, who might your friends be? She was looking at me with a complicated look on her face. We probably wanted to move things along so that we could give these people their stuff, so I decided to help her with her words. We're pirates. Zoro's eyes widened for a second, then he laughed. Nami punched me in the shoulder over and over again. It didn't hurt, but she was making a scary face. Stop doing that. You did it again. Why did you do it again? There was a gun pointed at my head. Ache, I heard Kobe shout. A bunch of guys were grabbing him to stop him from moving. You betrayed our trust, girl. The old man shouted. You're with these fellas, ain't ya? You lot just wanted to keep all the wealth for yourselves. I blinked and turned to Nami. What's going on? I asked. Wait a second, she begged. Using what strength she had, she dragged the 2 bags that Zoro and I brought and left them where everyone could see them. Here, it's what Buggy took from you. We came here to give it back like I said I would. The old man's arm was shaky. Slowly the gun was lowered. You're serious? Are you really pirates? The people holding Kobe in place let him go. He ran up to us. Yuha, I answered, nodding my head. The old man closed his eyes and bowed his head. I'm sorry. The fact of the matter is that you've helped us, pirates or not. I'm thankful. We're thankful. There's nothing much that we have to offer, I'm afraid. But if you wish. Nah, we don't need anything. Nami answered, smiling. I wish we could stay to help you rebuild, but we have places to be. The old man sighed. I could hear the cheers of relief from all the people behind him. It's no issue at all. I wish you good luck in your travels, pirates. Coo, coo, coo. We all looked up. A bird was flying in circles overhead. A really recognizable one, too. It was wearing its own uniform and seemed to be carrying a package. Nami lifted her arm, a perch for the bird to land. The news coo. Has it been coming often? The old man seemed caught off guard. Not once since that pirate crew came here. Maybe because they're gone, it thinks it's safe again. Nami tossed it a small coin. The bird dropped a newspaper and it flew off. Here, she said, giving the paper a once-over as she brought it over to the old man. After being left in the dark for so long. This one's on me. You should. She didn't even finish her sentence. Seemingly out of nowhere, she tore off the first page of the paper and held it in a balled fist. Nami stopped moving. It was kind of worrying. Nami, I called out to her carefully. I turned to Zoro and Kobe, but they didn't seem to know what was going on either. Hey, Luffy, she started in a soft voice. How about we cut a deal? Something was off. What did she see in that paper? Sure, I answered. I didn't know what else to say. To me, she didn't look like the Nami that I knew at all right now. It was her eyes. If even for just a second, it felt like she was staring at me more intensely than she ever had before. I didn't know how to describe it. She just wasn't all there. She was off in her own head thinking about something. I just didn't know what. I'll be your navigator. In exchange, I want you to do something for me. Oi, Nami, can you tell me what's up already? I was getting pretty frustrated. This was supposed to be quick and easy, right? She said that she would be my navigator if I did her a favor, so I agreed. Only, she didn't want to tell me what she wanted right away. She said that we had to wait until we got back to Big Nose's ship. Nami was acting really strange, so I didn't ask her about it until we got here, even though I really wanted to. We were at the ship already. She kept looking more and more nervous. I still wanted her to spit it out. Actually, no. It was because she looked so nervous that I wanted to hear what she had to say. She finally stopped walking once she was in front of the ship and twirled around to face us. Her shoulders were still super tense and that craziness hadn't left her eyes. Have you heard of a pirate named Arlong? She asked. Hey, Kobe jumped back and looked scared out of his mind. I stared at him blankly for a moment. Never heard of him, I told Nami honestly. Her mouth was already open and ready to say something else before I answered, but nothing came out once I did. She just stared at me for a second longer before her shoulders finally dropped. It was Zoro who answered instead. I'm surprised, Captain. Arlong is the most infamous pirate in the East Blue. He has the largest bounty around. By a large margin, too. I had plans to take his head, but he's pretty well protected from what I've heard. Nami's face was super pale and sweaty, too. If she kept starting to say something before stopping and starting again. It was pretty annoying. Take down Arlong, please. Please get rid of Arlong. Do that and I will join your crew. A new side quest is now available. Eliminate Arlong before he can be apprehended by the Marines. Completion rewards. Time limit 3H, 59M, 58S. Begin now. Yes, no. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. Before I could say anything, she got right in my face and smiled widely. Nami dropped her hands on my shoulders. It'll be really fast, I promise. No problem at all. Arlong's nothing compared to you. He's a pushover. You have nothing to worry about. Zoro glared at her. Have the decency to speak honestly when you ask for a favor, woman. I felt her fingers trembling on me. Slowly, she backed away. Nami looked like she didn't know how she was supposed to look at me. This wasn't the same thing as the deal I made with Zoro at all. No, I told her, I'm not gonna fight someone I don't know just because you tell me to. Her whole body tightened before I added, but if I don't like him, I'll kick his ass for sure. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. Something about this rubbed me the wrong way, but honestly, I didn't really know what it was. I couldn't really be bothered to think about that too much. All I knew was that Nami wanted me to beat up this Ardon guy and that I wanted Nami to be my navigator. That much was simple, so I'd do what she said I should do for now and worry about everything else later. Luffy-san, hold on a second. Kobe whined. Think about this seriously. You don't even know who Arlong is and you're saying you're going to go looking for him. This won't be like Buggy, you know. He kept on going for a bit longer, but I stopped listening to him then. Nami was still frozen for a moment longer before snapping out of it, sort of. Okay. Zoro walked past both of us and started climbing the ramp to the ship. Are we going now, then? He asked over his shoulder. I looked at Nami, who was staring back at me with a totally blank face, and grinned. Yeah, sounds good. It's gonna be so great to have a navigator. I thought I saw Nami trying to say something, but I didn't wait and ran ahead. I was so excited. I couldn't believe my luck. I found someone who said that they were willing to be my navigator so early. It was definitely one of the important things that you had to deal with at sea. Or at least, that's what everyone else said, but it's not like I knew where to go looking for someone who could do all that navigator stuff. Nami practically fell onto my lap and all I had to do was fight some pirate dude. This thing's huge, I heard Zoro say from somewhere else on the ship. Can we really get it moving with just 4 people? Oh, could we? Once I was on deck, I looked back and stared down at her again. She hadn't moved yet. I waited to see what she would do. There was nothing for a few seconds. Eventually, she took a breath so deep that I could see it happen from all the way up here. Then she followed me up the ramp. Raise the anchor and do as I say. I'll get us sorted out. Has been cleared. Remaining time, 1H, 44M, 21S. Completion rewards, plus, has been unlocked. Calculating bonus rewards. Time remaining on H, clear. Rewards for this quest are not scalable. Bonus rewards calculated. Key item has been added to your inventory. Used to progress the main story. Has been added to the navigation menu. Has been added to the navigation menu. You are sailing under the flag of the at sea. Here will be. I waved my hand in front of my face to get rid of all that random stuff that wouldn't stop popping up, then laughed. "Dia, hear that, Zoro?" He grumbled. Seriously? He's not awake yet. I pouted while poking Big Nose's cheek. The head was still where I left it, on the ground with his tongue hanging out. How many days has it been now? We'd set sail the day before yesterday. Actually, hasn't it been longer than that? Either way, we had been at sea for a little while already. It sucked. The only thing that I could do to pass the time was talk to Zoro. And if he wasn't doing something that Nami told him to do, he was just sleeping. All day. Unbelievable. And Nami I couldn't really talk to at all. She wasn't mean or anything and she let me talk, but she kept pretending when she spoke. It felt like I was talking into a mirror instead of actually speaking with someone, so I stopped trying. Heck, I couldn't even eat anything. There was some food and stuff that Big Nose left on his ship, but Zoro and Nami said I couldn't go looking for any of that stuff without their permission after I went to go grab some of it the first time. Didn't know why, though. I was passing the time here now, in the storage room with the treasure and Yamato's stupid club and Big Nose's stupid face. Didn't he know that it wasn't normal to sleep for this long? Wait, what was normal for flying heads anyway? I figured that if I couldn't do anything else I might as well have taken some time to ask him about what he knew about Shanks. Notice, the side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. Hey, Captain. Zoro had come down. He looked tired, probably just woke up. Miss Navigator says we're going to reach the island soon. I felt excited. Really? I shouted. Hua, finally. You should talk to her, though. I blinked. Why's that? I asked. Is there something wrong with her? He stared at me as if I had said something totally crazy. Of course there is. That lady's had a problem with you since we left the town. Are you sure you even want her on the crew? I didn't think about the question for too long. Yeah, he scoffed. Sort it out amongst yourselves, then. I blinked owlishly as I watched him leave the storage room. Hey Nami, Zoro says you have a problem with me. She jumped and her hands flew off the wheel when I showed up behind her. She quickly spun around and smiled at me. Captain, what's wrong? I don't know what Zoro's been telling you, but I don't have any problems with you at all. Honest. I propped my fists on my hips. Okay, I'm glad. We'll be there soon, right? She nodded. In an hour or so. There was a silence between us. Nami looked like she didn't know whether she was supposed to keep talking or not. She eventually settled on going back to focusing on steering the ship. Notice, the side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. Once you get rid of Arlong, I'll join your crew. I squinted my eyes and tilted my head to the side. I agreed. You said that already. I couldn't see her face from this angle. And then, I'll do whatever you need me to do, Captain. Whatever you need for however long you want me. I promise. I stared at the back of her head with a straight face. There was a loud thump nearby. Zoro just jumped down from the watchtower place up on the main mast and landed behind us. There are 3 ships coming straight for us, he said. They're pirates, but I don't recognize any of the flags. Nami spun right back around. The color drained from her face. What? She yelled. How? Show me. He tossed her a pair of binoculars that had Big Nose's Jolly Roger on them. Nami snatched it out of the air and, notice, the side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. How did I miss that? Nami shrieked before pointing at the ships that weren't actually that far away. I could see them too, actually, and I didn't even have any magnifying stuff. That's not possible. I should have seen them much earlier. What's going on? I tapped Zoro on the shoulder. Hey, why is Nami all antsy? I asked him. He stared at me all serious-like. Didn't you hear the part where I said that we're being approached by 3 pirate ships? They're going to attack us. We're in a bad spot right now. Right. How do ships sneak up on people? They don't. Nami snapped. The cabin door opened and Kobe walked out onto the deck yawning. He looked like he had a pretty good nap. What's going on? I thought. Before Kobe could get his question out, one of the ships fired a cannonball at us. Nami and Kobe shrieked and dropped to their knees and Zoro crouched a little, obviously trying to brace himself. I got it. I told them. I jumped into the air in front of the boat and hugged the cannonball to my chest right before it could hit us. I didn't think that through, though. I didn't have any leverage, so I got sent flying back with it. At least the cannonball and I were going over the ship instead of through it. Luffy, I heard Zoro shout out from behind me. Or actually, was it in front of me now? This cannonball took me back pretty far. I grabbed the mast of Big Nose's ship and let my arm stretch as I used it to stop my momentum. Kobe and Nami screamed at me at the same time. Luffy, it's going to snap. You idiot. The mast bent a whole lot, but it didn't break. I slingshotted myself right back around and aimed myself at the ship that fired at us. Crash. I stood up and brushed myself off. I was pretty disoriented for a second before I looked around and saw Big Nose's ship a little bit away. I waved at Zoro, Kobe and Nami. Could they see me from here? Notice, the side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. Why you? I turned around. I was surrounded by a bunch of pirate guys who did a really good job of looking like they were pirate guys. I repeated. Yeah, you. One of the pirate guys with a wooden peg leg screamed back. What the hell are you? Are you a member of Buggy the Clown's crew? Can I have your leg? No, you can't have my leg. Before he could react, I kicked him in the chest and sent him cartwheeling into the mast of this ship. It snapped right in half. I blinked. Nami was right. That thing was supposed to break if you weren't careful with it. I'm not on his crew, I answered. The rest of them stared at me with dropped jaws. He can't hear you. My ear twitched. I quickly turned my head to look at the other 2 ships nearby and saw a bunch of guys wheeling cannons to the front of their decks. I would have to do something about that. But first, hey, I spoke. What's up with you guys anyway? How did you just appear out of nowhere like that? They looked at each other like they couldn't understand what I was asking. Are you some kind of idiot? We saw the clown's ship at sea for the first time in a while, and we decided to capitalize on the opportunity. It's not our fault that you sailed straight past us without thinking of what we'd do to you. That made no sense at all since they said they were here the whole time and they clearly weren't. So it was a mystery, then. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes. I exhaled and everyone in front of me crumpled. Just like that. The whole crew of all 3 ships was unconscious, probably. Notice, the side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. I frowned. What the hell? That message had been popping up basically all the time ever since I told Nami that I would help her. I'd been ignoring it up until now since I thought it would go away after a while just like every other time. So why was it getting so much worse today? Especially right now. I was seriously getting annoyed with. I noticed that there was a big shadow being cast over me. I looked up. I thought I felt my heart stop for a second. There was a wave. A giant wave. A super duper big wave that was definitely going to take out all of the ships. Big Nose's ship too. I sprinted over to the side of the deck that I was standing on and stretched my arm over to the railing near where Nami was standing. We were close enough for me to do that now, thankfully. When I landed, I found them all just standing there, about as freaked out as I expected them to be. "Can you do something about that?" Zoro asked me. He sounded hopeful. Was there anything that I could do about something like this? "I don't understand," Nami mumbled. "First the pirates and now this. Things like this don't just happen out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. Notice, the side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced." A chill ran down my spine. Hey, the mystery square has been acting strange. The closer we got to this island, the more that it's been. "Oi," I screamed. "Are you doing this?" The other three were looking at me strangely. They couldn't know who or what I was talking about. There wasn't any time for them to say anything, though. I glared at the wave as it crashed down on us. My body felt weak. I groaned and tried to move my arms. I could only wiggle my fingers a little at first, but eventually I was able to prop myself up onto my butt. Everything was a little blurry at first. I couldn't see straight. I grabbed my head and waited for everything to clear up. "Your has been fully restored. A new quest is now available. The ship you took from Buggy the Clown is in no condition to challenge the seas. Find a way to repair it or, alternatively, find a new ship. Completion rewards. Bonus rewards. Begin now." Yes, no. I was on a beach. There was a bunch of debris surrounding me. A shipwreck. Luckily, I found my hat right at my feet, somehow totally dry. I dropped it onto my head and got up. "Luffy," I heard Zoro shout from somewhere farther away. I turned around to see him and Nami running up to me from further down the beach. Zoro had Kobe over his shoulder, but the kid was waving at me, so he was fine, probably. I was glad they were okay, but I couldn't speak right now. Nami sighed. "I can't believe we're alive. The ship is beached, though. Not that we'd be going anywhere even if it weren't. The hull is breached and the mast snapped." "Luffy," Zoro said my name again. He was looking at me with his eyebrows pressed together. I was angry. The angriest that I'd ever been. I felt like I was trembling. I was going to fight that pirate guy and the messages stopped me. I know they did. I could feel it. They stopped me. I didn't know why, but I didn't care why either. Until now, I was fine with the mystery squares. They were okay. They helped me sometimes, even. Because of that, I was able to ignore them even when they were being annoying. Everything was different now. I heard Nami taking a step back. Instinctively, I looked at her when she did. I knew that I was making a bad face from the way she was looking back at me. She backpedaled a few more times. "Sorry, Nami. It doesn't have anything to do with you." I wanted to say that out loud, but I couldn't. Not right now, at least. I felt like I had forgotten how to speak. My freedom was something that belonged to me and me alone. I would not accept anything that tried to take that away from me. I stared at the mess that was left over from Big Nose's ship. First, we would have to make sure that Big Nose's head and Yamato's club were okay. Then, we were gonna have to find a new boat. Then, we would go right back to that island that Ardong was on. This time, nothing would stop me. Nothing. I didn't expect the pirate guys or the big wave. If the mystery squares or anything else tried to get in the way of what I choose to do ever again, I wouldn't let it. Even if it killed me. Smoker's grip tightened around the earpiece pressed tightly against the side of his head. His willpower was being tested by his subordinate on the other end of the den mushy. "Yes, Tashigi. I'm sure it's the right dog." The man sighed, his forehead leaning against the palm of his free hand as he glared at the large, white canine lounging on the floor near his office door. The damn thing stared back at him blankly. Considering the danger it had unwittingly put itself in, it was safe to assume that there wasn't much going on behind those wide, innocent eyes. "Shiru-chan isn't a dog. She's regardless of what you think it is, the thing's here. That's what's important." I'm glad." "Don't be glad," he shouted. The Marine captain glared at the transponder snail as though the poor thing was the object of his ire. "There's a circus animal on my damn ship. Who let it on deck in the first place? For the love of..." Not one sailor noticed it until we were too far gone to turn back. "Fantastic." It was made clear by the sound of his voice that it was not, in fact, fantastic. The woman had been calling him over and over again for the past few days, upset that the stray pooch had seemingly disappeared without a trace, and honestly, he didn't really care. She kept updating him on the matter like he was supposed to be just as invested in this whole affair as the rest of them. He was fine letting his men fuss over the animal as long as they didn't drag him into it. But that didn't mean that he was ready to take care of something in the same spirit as a classroom pet. Now that the missing dog was found safe and sound on his boat some 100 miles from shore, taking care of it was all that he could do. "We're hunting a pirate. A dangerous one," he tried to explain as calmly as possible. "You understand that, don't you, Tashigi?" "Yes, sir." "Then you also understand that we can't look after this dog while we're busy keeping ourselves alive. It's a liability. If I have to choose between my men and that thing, I will choose my men." It took the woman a second to decide how she was going to respond. The silence was deafening. and it was clear to him that Tashigi wasn't a fan of his stance. "Yes, sir," she responded eventually. He huffed. The Marine captain picked up the transponder snail, walked over to where the dog was lying, and crouched next to it. The thing stared back at him curiously. "Look, I'll do what I can, but no promises," he told the woman, killing a bit of the bite in his tone. "Amazing. Thank you, Captain. Hey, this thing was pretty fluffy, wasn't it? It was kind of cute," he supposed. "Make sure Shiro-chan gets plenty of food. She's a hungry girl." "Oh, no scraps, though. She's picky. She likes fish especially." "No scraps, huh? What kind of absurdly lavish lifestyle was this mutt used to?" "Fish," he repeated, staring at the dog. "What are you, a cat?" It tilted its head as if understanding what he was saying. He placed the den mushy on the ground and reached out to pet its mane. Also, Shiro-chan doesn't really like to be touched. She bites." His hand pulled back at the last second. He caught the way the dog's teeth were bared. "Right, thanks for telling me. Let me know if you have any other questions. Be sure to call me frequently to tell me how." "I will not. I'll let you get back to your work, Master Chief Petty Officer." He cut the line before she could get another word in. He sighed once more and bowed his head defeatedly. Before he could stand up and return to his desk, the door to his office swung open. "What now?" he snapped. A nervous Marine was standing in the doorway with a stiff salute. He stared at the stowaway animal that was resting nearby without a care in the world. "Yes, sir. You asked me to let you know when we were getting close to Mirror Ball Island." Smoker regained his composure. He took a deep breath before walking back to his desk to drop off the transponder snail and grab a couple cigars. "Good. Tell the men we'll be docking there to resupply." "Sir." The man hadn't left the office yet. He was still standing there awkwardly. "Is there something else?" Smoker asked. Sheepishly, the Marine rubbed the back of his head. Well, some of the other guys were wondering why you chose this course, sir. Do you know where the pirate is heading?" Smoker walked up to a map and tapped his finger against the illustration of a cluster of islands that were a few minutes of latitude away from where they were now. "This is the Yotsuba Island region," he told the man. "It's the last known location of Monkey D. Luffy. Between here and the Polestar Islands, there are a few possible stops. 7 total." He pointed out each one before listing them aloud. "There's Mirror Ball, which was the closest one to us. Then there's the Organ Archipelago, Konomi Archipelago, Sixes, Goat Island, the Gecko Archipelago, and the 77th Branch's private island, which we won't really worry about. If the pirate is coming our way, we're pretty much guaranteed to run into him as long as we stay on track. The next update we get on him will tell us which island he'll be on next, which in turn will tell us what our next move will be." With me so far. The Marine had been listening to his explanation attentively. Amusingly enough, even the dog had its head perked, likely imitating the man standing next to it. "Yes, sir, but why would the pirate be heading our way?" Smoker sighed. "It isn't exactly true to say that he's heading our way. A more accurate explanation would be that he's heading for what's behind us." The Marine's eyes widened. "You mean?" "Yeah, I've seen my fair share of pirates, and there's no doubt in my mind that this one's heading for the Grand Line sooner or later. My money's on sooner. Hey, Captain. Have you heard?" Usopp stared blankly at his 3 companions, Tamangi, Pimmin, and Ninjin, from across the table of the diner. It took him a few seconds to realize that Tamangi was waiting for him to actually respond before continuing. "About what?" he asked, playing along. "There's this new super dangerous pirate hanging around the East Blue," Pimmin exclaimed. "His bounty is huge. It's like, 156 million berry," offered Ninjin, picking up where Pimmin left off. "Isn't that crazy?" Usopp blinked before bursting out laughing. "I totally believed you guys for a second there. What a riot." "We're serious," Pimmin said, trying to sound convincing. Usopp waved his hand in front of his face dismissively. "No way. Do you guys even hear yourselves? A lie is only as believable as the tall tale you're trying to tell. How well you spin it doesn't matter otherwise. Geez, 150-something million? Huh. What's this guy supposed to be, the devil himself? Does the government even give out bounties that high?" The 3 kids before him were pouting. It's what they deserved. There was still a long road ahead of them if they thought they could outwit the Fib Master one day. Tamangi crossed his arms. "We overheard the adults talking about it. We're not lying." Usopp grinned and leaned forward. "Tell you what, if you can find me proof, I'll believe you." "Proof? Like what? A bounty poster?" "You got it." Ninjin shook his head. "You know we can't do that, Captain. They won't let us kids." Slam! The entire diner jumped in shock as the front door was practically kicked open. In came one of the village men, his complexion pale and sweaty. "Everyone hide." One of the waitresses walked up to him cautiously. "Tommy, what's wrong, Eep?" She reached out to touch his shoulder, but he grabbed her hand before she could reach him. He held onto the appendage like a lifeline. "I brought my boys and some of the other men to investigate what all the commotion was about on the North Shore. We found a beached ship belonging to Buggy the Clown." Silence reigned for a moment. Usopp, who was listening and along with everyone else, could practically feel the way that his eyes widened as he slowly realized what was going on. What? Was there anyone on board? Are you okay? Asked someone seated at one of the nearby tables. There wasn't anyone on board, and the ship was a wreck. Usopp let out a sigh of relief, but perhaps that relief came too early. But there were footprints along the coastline leading into the forest. At least some of the crew is alive. It could be a scuttling. Usopp watched detachedly as the entire establishment devolved into a swarmed panic. Leave now. Get back to your houses. Are you crazy? That's a great way to get yourself killed. He couldn't blame them. He felt the same way. Actually, he knew what this all meant too. It was only his shock that kept him in his place. Pirates were on the island. Has anyone contacted Mr. Klahadore? Good thinking. He would know what to do, wouldn't he? Usopp snapped out of it. He tapped Tamangi, Pimin and Ninjin and ran out the door. He had to make sure Kaya was okay. The ship you took from Buggy the Clown is in no condition to challenge the seas. Find a way to repair it or, alternatively, find a new ship. Completion rewards. Bonus rewards. Begin now. Yes, no. We need a new ship, I said. I was sitting on Yamato's club. I had just dragged it out from under a pile of torn-up wooden planks. I don't even know what happened, Kobe mumbled. He was in his own little world right now. One moment we were being attacked by pirates, and then, was that a tidal wave? Nami and Zoro were sitting on the sand on each side of him. They almost looked as upset as I was. Kobe buried his head in his hands. We don't even know where we are right now. A ship isn't something that we can come across so easily, right? Can't we just fix this one? Nami clicked her tongue. Who do you think we are? Even if we knew the first thing about repairing a ship, that thing's just about snapped in half. I hate to say it, but Luffy might be right. At the very least, there will probably be a fishing boat or two at the closest village if we follow the shoreline. It might not be able to support the weight of that giant club, but if we have to, we can always come back. No, I shouted. I stood up, crossed my arms and pouted. We're not leaving Yamato's club here. Nami shot up to her feet and opened her mouth. Nothing came out at first, though. Her expression went from angry to totally blank when I turned my head to look at her. Nami, is there something wrong? No, sorry. I scrunched up my face even more. Zoro hummed. Didn't we have the clown's head with us? Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I cupped my hands around my mouth and started wandering closer to the shipwreck. Big nose. Big nose. Are you alive? No one answered. I turned back around to stare at the others with a sad expression on my face. Sorry, I think he's dead. You barely tried. Kobe shouted. Silently, Zoro got up and walked through the big hole in the beached ship's hull. We just waited for a bit until he came back out with Big Nose's head. It was all beaten and bruised and still missing the rest of his body with his tongue sticking out, but he didn't look too dead to me. Can you wake him up? I asked. Why would you want to? Kobe whined. I frowned. Why not? Zoro slapped Big Nose's face a few times before Kobe could say anything else. Nothing happened. Are you sure he's alive? I asked. He's breathing, Zoro told me. So he's alive. Okay, now what? I tapped my chin and hummed. Hey, Nami, you said there was a village on this island, right? She took a moment before answering. Captain, do you see those bollards over there? I turned my head to where she was pointing. There are some rinky-dink wooden poles sticking out near the shoreline. That means people have been mooring their vessels here. We're bound to find something. I slammed my fist into my palm. Okay, then, let's go exploring. The others gave me a confused look. Were they slow in the head or something? What's up? I asked. Exploring. Nami repeated. Through the forest, you mean? Yeah, let's go find a village or something. Kobe shook his head. That's not a good idea. Until we know what island we're on. Going into the forest is bound to get us lost, dead, even. It was just a forest with animals and trees and deep pits and stuff. Didn't they know what a forest was? Were they dumb? Zoro nodded his head at me and grunted. Okay, let's go. At least Zoro was smart. Hold it. Nami reached forward and grabbed Zoro by the arm before we could take off. At least think it through a little first. Who's going to guard the ship while you're gone? And, give me that. You want people to catch you with this thing in public? She snagged Big Nose's head out of Zoro's hands, stared at it for a second, then dropped it with a grossed out look on her face. I tilted my head. Guard the ship. We don't need to do that, do we? Zoro complained. Of course you do. Most of the treasure is still there. What if scavengers find it? Zoro looked offended. You do it since you care so much. You're telling a poor, defenseless girl like me to fend for herself. What are you, some sort of monster? We all looked at Kobe. His head was down. I'd do it, but I don't think I would be able to do much. I noticed Kobe's ankle. It looked pretty swollen. I decided what to do. Okay, Zoro, you stay here with Kobe. Nami and I'll go find a ship somewhere. He looked like he wanted to argue, but instead, he just scoffed and dropped down onto the sand and leaned onto his side. I nodded. You ready, Nami? Guess it's just you and me. She stared at me blankly for a second. She looked like she ate pickled meat thinking it was roasted meat. Nami, Kobe, and Zoro were giving her looks too. She snapped out of it. Oh, yeah, sorry. Let's go, Captain. She sounded happy all of a sudden. Strange. Wasn't she being really grumpy with Zoro just a second ago? She was weird. We waved goodbye to Zoro and Kobe and we were on our way. A new location has been discovered. It took us a little while to find a village, but sure enough, just like Nami said, we eventually found one at the bottom of a hill. It wasn't anything super big. It reminded me a lot of Fuchsia, actually, but I hoped they could still help us out. I threw my arms up and cheered. All right, let's HM. I tried running ahead, but something was tugging at my vest, holding me back. I looked over my shoulder and blinked confusedly at Nami. She had been pretty quiet until now, actually. She wouldn't talk much and she never stepped out in front of me. She still wasn't over whatever it was that was bothering her back on Big Nose's ship. Nami frowned at me. Something's strange. I don't see anyone walking around. Let's not act recklessly before we can find out what's going on. That's my suggestion, at least. I nodded silently. It made sense to me, probably. If Nami thought that was the smart thing to do, then I was fine with listening to her. Cautiously, we walked down a path that seemed to split through the village. I kept turning my head left and right to inspect the houses and shops on either side of me. Things didn't actually look as much like Fuchsia as I had originally thought. The buildings were a lot rounder, tinier too. Nami nudged me. Let's try here, she suggested, pointing at a tavern. Without waiting for her, I walked up to the doors and pushed them open. I stuck my head inside and looked around. There were people staring back at me. It seemed like I caught them off guard. I smiled and raised my hand. Yo, does anyone have a ship I can take? There was a long silence before they started whispering into each other's ears. Who's that? I've never seen him around before. Do you think he's? No way. He looks a little dim. I frowned. Hello. I tried again. Just then, Nami burst through the entrance. The sudden noise made everyone in the bar jump a little. Again, she didn't say anything even though she looked like she really wanted to. Her heart was beating really fast. I could hear it. An older-looking guy with scrunched-up eyebrows stood up. Who are you two? You're not from Syrup Village. Nami nudged my foot before I could say anything. I was about to ask her what she did that for, but before I could, she stepped forward and smiled brightly. We're actually from Mori Village, the hamlet west of here. My friend and I were just passing through town, and couldn't help but notice that things seemed a little off. Is everything okay? Map information has been updated. The people at the bar exchanged cautious looks. You're right, Missy. There are rumors circulating that there might be pirates on the island, so everyone is a little jumpy. Forgive us for being suspicious. I'm not saying that either one of you looks the part, but you have to understand that it's important for us to keep a lookout right now, especially around strangers. A quest flag has been raised. There are rumors of pirates having stepped foot on the island, but not all things are as they seem. The fate of the people is dependent on the truth you perceive to be reality. It's time to make an informed choice. Objective: uncover the truth behind the pirate rumors. Clues found: 0 divided by 4. Bonus objective: no deaths. Completion rewards: lumber. Bonus rewards. I was a little upset that he said that we didn't look like pirates, but Nami nudged me again before I could. What was her deal? Thanks for letting us know. Nami's smile hadn't budged. We'll keep that in mind and make sure to be careful. The bartender looked up from the glass he was currently cleaning and asked a question of his own. Say, you two are from Mori, is that right? Why come all the way out here, then? Nami didn't waste a second. We're looking for a ship, actually. A few of our friends too, want to join the Navy, but there's no naval base. She dug her heel into my toes. On the Gecko Islands. Since there are a few fishermen here, we figured. We follow. Lass, spoke another man, interrupting her. His nose was a little red and he barely had any hair left on his head. Sorry, but don't think there's much that we could do to help you. The best that one of our boys could offer is a dinghy. If you've got a crew coming with you, that won't be enough. How about Miss Kaya? Everyone turned to a group of 3 kids that were sitting at their own table in a corner. The old man with the red nose coughed. Tamangi, Taman, Ninjin, what are you doing here? Didn't you leave with Usopp? Roleplay aficionado, roleplay lover, roleplay enjoyer. The chubby kid with glasses shook his head. No, Nami crouched over so that she could look them in the eyes. They all blushed. Hey there, what was it you fellas were saying just now? Is there someone you think could give us a hand? The one with the shaggy hair and a hat stammered. Why yeah, if you go up the hill further into town you'll. The pepper one slapped his hand over his friend's mouth. We might be able to help you. But he looked around before lowering his voice. You have to do something for us first in exchange. I blinked but stayed out of it. Nami seemed like she knew what she was doing. She narrowed her eyes. Oh, like what? The 3 of them looked stumped. They took a moment to form a huddle, then split up a few seconds later, looking all confident. Get us the bounty posters. The ones behind the bar. Yeah, we're kids, so the barkeeper won't let us see them. We just want a peek. Naomi hummed. Suspicious, she said. Their backs straightened. But that's fine. You have a deal. She stuck her tongue out and walked toward the barkeeper. The man gave her a flat look and sighed. I don't know what those three could possibly want with these. Naomi clasped her hands together. It couldn't hurt, right? Just for a second. He clicked his tongue. Fine, but make sure they give them right back. Deal. She grabbed the stack of bounty posters and idly thumbed through them. She choked on her own spit. I tilted my head. Naomi, you okay? Yeah. All good. She turned around. I saw her pocketing one of the posters when her back was to the barkeeper. What was that about? Here you go, she chirped, handing the rest of them over to the kids. They looked all excited when they grabbed them out of her hands, but their excitement kind of died down after a while. Tichi, it's not here, Payman. But I could have sworn. So, I interrupted them. You said you knew someone, right? The chubby one grumbled. I guess we did have a deal. The lady on top of the hill is pretty rich and I think I've seen her boat docked on one of the shores. It's a caravel. She doesn't go out much, though, so I doubt she's actually ever used it. My eyes widened and I smiled. Great. Thanks, you guys. I grabbed Naomi by the arm and ran out the door, ignoring her shriek. She slapped me on the shoulder. Hey, don't just grab me like that, please, Captain. I let go of her arm and stared at her blankly for a sec. Her grimace melted away. She looked scared, almost, but then that disappeared too. Sorry, she said. I didn't mean to step on your foot like that earlier. I just wanted to make sure things would go well and I was trying to help. I really didn't get what was up with her. I smiled again. You did a really good job of speaking to those guys. They didn't know you were lying at all. I wouldn't have been able to do that. It would have been better if she didn't keep pretending that we weren't pirates. But it bothered her for some reason right now, so I let it go. She sighed and propped her hand on her hip. It was pretty easy once I knew where we were. He mentioned Syrup Village, which is a hamlet on the Gecko Archipelago. I know the area well enough to make up an alibi. I was confused. Wait, so you've been here before? I asked. No, I just make it a habit of staying informed. As a navigator, I take pride in knowing the East Blue like the back of my hand. My mouth fell open. Seriously, all of it? She looked away. Yeah, it's not that impressive. Of course it's impressive. I have the greatest navigator ever. I laughed. I stopped laughing. I just remembered something. Say, why did you take that bounty poster? No reason. Oh, okay. X, put me down, you flashy bastard. I swear I quote I'll kill you. You won't live to see tomorrow. LL, HMFFFMFFMM. Zoro let out a relieved sigh as he muffled the screeching head with a chunk of driftwood. The moron had just woken up a few minutes ago and hadn't shut up since. Would you calm down already? Grumbled the green-haired man. You're making the kid uncomfortable. The kid in question was staring at the animated remains of Buggy the Clown despondently. He was probably still having a tough time wrapping his head around the idea of a devil fruit existing, let alone allowing its user to survive decapitation as though it were a minor inconvenience at most. Zoro was sure that Kobe wouldn't mind a distraction right about now. The swordsman had his own nagging thoughts that he wanted to bounce off someone else, so a distraction he could definitely provide. Hey, what do you think of Luffy? Kobe was caught off guard by the question. He started. Luffy? What do you mean? Zoro scoffed. I mean, what do you think of him? It's not a complicated question. Kobe looked down at his feet. He's nice. For a pirate, I guess. I mean, not that I know a lot of pirates. I'm not trying to say that you guys are bad. The opposite, actually. It's just, shut up. I get it. Okay, squeaked Kobe meekly. There was a silence between them for a moment, only disturbed by the sounds of a struggling Buggy in the background. I think something's off, Zoro admitted. At first I thought that Nami was just being overly cautious and dramatic. But it might be that she knows something about the guy. Remember the way she looked at him when the news crew brought the bounty posters on the last island? Kobe knitted his brow. I guess, wasn't it that Arlong guy that she was upset about? Zoro drew Wado Ikamanji and stared at himself through the blade's reflection. His expression was stony. My guess is that it was Luffy's bounty that she saw, not Arlong's. Kobe stammered. Luffy's. Why do you think? It makes sense. There's a pirate she wants gone and she found someone who can get rid of him for her. That means he's stronger. It's no wonder why she's so jumpy around him. Kobe shivered. But Arlong has a 20 million berry bounty. There's no way that someone like Luffy has a bounty larger than that, right? If Kobe thought Zoro was joking, he'd be disappointed to find that the man wasn't smiling. This is just an informed guess on my part, but if Nami is so sure that she'd be willing to put all of her eggs in one basket on the spot, she's either lying and trying to screw us over, which I don't think she's stupid enough to do, or his bounty makes Arlong look like an ant by comparison. Kobe shook his head wildly. Impossible. Impossible. They're saying that Arlong is a shoo-in to be a warlord of the sea. My guess is 50 million. Kobe's mouth clamped shut. He gulped. They both turned to look at Buggy's head. The clown had found a way to spit out his makeshift gag. 50. Buggy repeated incredulously. The two of you really don't know anything, do you? Kobe didn't know how to react. Zoro narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Buggy grimaced. Screw, Gak. In the time it took for the captured pirate to spit back an insult, Zoro had dug his heel in his cheek, pushing the man's head further into the sand. Get off of me. Quit it with the attitude. Fine, fine. Zoro dropped back down on the sand with a grunt. Buggy let out a sigh of relief. What do you know about the Grand Line? Zoro and Kobe looked at each other unsurely. It's a sailor's graveyard, started Kobe unsurely. No one but monsters can survive there. Beyond that, it's all rumors. It's not like there are many people coming and going from that place. Buggy had a serious look on his face, though it was offset by how silly he looked with all the sand stuck in his hair. The Grand Line is split into two halves, explained the clown. The first half, the half you're most likely familiar with, is lovingly called Paradise by the great pirates. Paradise, Zoro repeated. What, are you saying everything we've heard is made up? Not at all. If you don't know what you're doing, you'll be dead before you know what hit you. In the East Blue, I'd wager that the percentage of pirates that would be able to even make it into the Grand Line illegally is effectively zero. Both Zoro and Kobe paled. Then why? It's called Paradise because, compared to the second half, the first half of the Grand Line is just that. A paradise, a cakewalk, a flashy little vacation spot. That's the difference between Paradise, the first half, and the New World, the second half. Zoro clicked his tongue. Is this exposition going anywhere, or do you just like the sound of your own voice? You flashy. Buggy bit his own tongue in an effort to stifle the insult that was about to come out. Let's just say that I've had first-hand experience with New World pirates. That Straw Hat idiot is definitely one of them, which means there's no way that his bounty is anything lower than 100 million berry. Kobe was bumbling incoherently, but Zoro just scoffed. Really? Why's he here, then? Isn't that the question of the hour? Joy ha ha ha. While Buggy was laughing at himself, Zoro's eyes were fixated on the giant club a few paces away. After what he'd just heard, it stood out to him like a sore thumb. He pointed at it. What about that? Joy ha ha ha. Buggy's eyes raised curiously to find what it was that Zoro was pointing at, and they quickly widened in panic. Why is that here? It was on your ship, Kobe helpfully provided. Luffy said it belonged to a friend. I told my crew to toss that thing in the ocean. Those idiots. Once I get my hands on them, I'll... So you know what it is, Zoro remarked. Maybe they could learn a little bit more about this Yamato character, even lacking as much of his body as he was. Buggy's nerves were very clearly frayed. Not a damn clue, was the captured pirate's unusually soft-spoken answer. But you can probably tell, can't you, Roronoa? That weapon doesn't belong to anyone I'd ever want to meet. Buggy wasn't talking about the club's size. Zoro recognized that right away. He was talking about its aura. Amongst swordsmen, it was common to hear of stories such that a blade could carry the weight of its wielder's conviction. The way that a sword was made, used and cared for was tangible to those competent enough to perceive such things. If you wanted to gauge a swordsman's worth, then you looked no further than at his weapon. Buggy the Clown was absolutely right. He had never seen anything like that club. The closest comparison that came to mind was Wado Ikamanji, and even that was different in a way that he couldn't really describe. Buggy cackled. You can tell. If whoever it belongs to comes back for it, I don't want to be there to get in their way. You should just ditch it now while you have the chance. A nagging part at the back of Zoro's head agreed with the man. Luffy said that it belonged to a friend, but then again, how much did he really know about Luffy? Did he think he was a good guy? It was nothing more than a gut feeling, but yeah, sure. Yamato, on the other hand, even the way that Luffy described her didn't instill much confidence. Clown, have you ever heard the name Yamato? Zoro asked. Buggy blinked dumbly for a second. Yama what? Never heard of the guy. The fledgling pirate was unimpressed with his captive's discouraging gaps in knowledge. Maybe if he told the clown what he knew, it would jog his memory. It wasn't like the captain told them all those things in confidence. Yamato is my captain's friend, apparently. He claims that she's the daughter of one of the 4 emperors. One of the 4. Buggy stared at the club vacantly for a few seconds, trying to piece everything together. Kobe and Zoro saw the moment when everything seemed to click. The decapitated head was sweating bullets. Boy, is this Yamato person kind of tall. Supposedly. Does she have horns? Supposedly. That flashy bastard Kaido has a brat. Why are you trying to find her, you psychos? Leave me out of this. Kaido. Buggy the Clown's strong reaction honestly unnerved Zoro a little bit. The man was without a doubt an eccentric, but there was a genuine panic in his tone that resonated with every part of Zoro that spoke when something just wasn't right. Buggy glared at him. Zoro hid his thoughts the best he could and stared back impassively. Look, kid, you wanted my honest thoughts. If that's the sort of company your captain's keeping, then I haven't the slightest clue why he's keeping his head down in the East Blue. He's planning something. And if you have any intention of living long enough to do anything with your life, I suggest you figure out what. Kobe crossed his arms in front of him in an X shape. Not possible. Luffy-san, I wouldn't call him dumb, but I've met smarter rocks, interjected Zoro, his tone definitive. If he turns out to be some sort of cunning mastermind, I'll eat my bandana. A new location has been discovered. Hua, this house is so big. Captain, it's important that you be on your best behavior. A ship, regardless of its size, isn't a small ask, so stop running ahead. Please listen when I am speaking. Nami was being all naggy again, so I ran away before she could catch me. I wanted to see the ship already. Oh, I needed to meet the rich girl first though. Was she a good guy? Those kids didn't say she was mean or anything, so she was probably a good guy. And I don't think that this recurring behavior of yours is in my lady's best interest. Boy, Hugh, I know you don't like me, but you have to listen. Kaya needs to leave. In her condition. Because of a baseless rumor. The only way such a tall tale could seem any more fantastical than it already does is if you were the one spreading it. There are people arguing in front of the house. I know we don't get along, but for once can't you put Kaya first? If there are really pirates on the island, wouldn't it be better to be safe than sorry? I don't like you insinuating that. Hey, do you guys know the lady with the boat? I asked. I didn't get what they were talking about, so it probably wasn't all that important. Persuasion check failed. The two guys stopped arguing and turned to face me. One was a butler guy who looked all butler-like, and the other guy had a really long nose. Butler guy pushed up his glasses. Who are you supposed to be? He asked. I ignored him. Is your nose longer than my finger? I asked long nose. I stuck my finger next to it and tried to compare. Wow, it's longer. The butler's hand pushed me in the chest. He shoved me back a few steps and I stared at him confusedly. We don't take kindly to trespassers. Again, please state your business or leave. Oh, okay. Can I have your ship? Persuasion check failed. No. Persuasion check failed. No, if that is all. Luffy. I heard Nami scream my name. I turned around just in time to see her slide past me. I'm sorry about. She started to apologize to Butler Guy, but then she stopped. Nami looked back like there was something scary behind me. Then she smiled. Sorry. I got a little carried away. Why did she keep apologizing to me? Butler Guy stared at us blankly for a few seconds longer before just turning around and walking back into the house. So, you two are? Long Nose was staring at us suspiciously. Nami stopped her hand right before it was about to hit me again. We both froze in place. I smiled and stood up straight. Hi, I'm Luffy. This is Nami. We're looking for a boat. Yeah, interrupted Long Nose before I could finish. But why? Where did you even come from? You just showed up out of nowhere and asked Klahadore for Kaya's ship. I've never seen you around the village before. That guy. I want to talk to this Kaya person about a ship, not him. No, I heard someone opening a window on a higher floor of the house. I looked up and saw a blonde girl looking down at us with wide, curious eyes. Usopp? She called out. What was in Usopp? Who are your friends? I waved my hand at her and smiled. Hey there, are you Kaya? Captain. I hate to be the one to say this, but I don't know how much longer some of the other boys will be able to hold on. Not me, of course. I'm as fit as a fiddle, but I've been hearing. Yes, Warrant Officer Gouda, grumbled Smoker, cutting the man off. I understand our current circumstances very well, but we need to keep time. Thank you for the report. The thank you was pointed enough for his sailor to understand that he wanted to be left alone for the moment. The officer saluted and left his office post-haste. Smoker took a long drag of the two cigars clamped tightly between his teeth. It was no small miracle that their contents hadn't spilled out with how tightly he had been clenching his jaw recently. He stared impassively at the strange mutt that was taking a nap in the corner of his office. Admittedly, he had grown used to the damn thing, if not attached to it. But it would be a lie to say that he wasn't a little annoyed that it still managed to seem completely unbothered while his crew was on the verge of passing out as a result of starvation, exhaustion, or both. Where did it all go so wrong? Mirrorball Island was definitely one of the more well-known islands in the East Blue, famous for its sightseeing, shopping districts, and culinary experiences. There was never a shortage of tourists crowding the streets as they came and went. The harbor docks were just as crowded. Naturally, Captain Smoker grumbled as another unaware civilian bumped into him. As big as he was, it was impossible not to be shoulder to shoulder with someone. Have you people found that dog yet? He moaned, in a frustrating development that he should have really seen coming. Tashiga's mutt went and disappeared the very second they stopped for their scheduled resupply on the island. If he were a smarter man, then he'd just ditch it here like he promised he would. But something came over him, and so here he was, forcing a good chunk of his men to waste all of their time looking for the damn thing. He would blow a gasket if the dog wasn't on deck before the next week's stock was brought in. No, sir, an officer responded dejectedly. Her disheveled state made it obvious that they had done the rounds. We'll keep looking, though. Do that. It'll be another hour before. Hey, you. Are you the Marine in charge here? Smoker paused mid-command in order to address what would inevitably be a new grievance for him to deal with. With a frown in place, he turned to face a no-nonsense-looking woman in a suit. That's me, he admitted. As a naval officer, it was his job to serve the people, but it would be nice if they could have a little more social awareness than to interrupt him while he was acting on his managerial responsibilities. Can I help you, ma'am? You can, sir, she affirmed in a no-nonsense tone of voice. There are your men, correct? He looked at the nervous and sheepish men and women awkwardly shuffling in place behind her. What the hell did you do, damn it? They are, he declared reticently. It would seem that some of my merchandise went missing while they were passing through my shop. He didn't like where this was going. Smoker quirked a brow. The group of Marines looked even more nervous now. And you're here to tell me that my men are at fault. I'm sorry, ma'am, I don't think I caught your name. I never introduced myself. She handed him a business card. You can call me Ms. Lorelei. I'm the general manager of Doskoy Panda and the head of the flagship store here on Mirrorball. Doskoy Panda, the super expensive luxury brand. We didn't take anything, sir, one of his men pleaded. Honest, he believed him. Those under his command were hand-picked. None would stoop to petty theft. Nonetheless, he wasn't about to start a commotion over this. How much do we owe you, sir? He ignored the pleas. 150 million birri, the woman told him. He was stone-faced. How much do we owe you? He repeated. 150 million birri, sir. He was able to keep his composure externally. But, we don't have that kind of money on hand. We're talking about a few t-shirts and not a galleon here, right? How can clothes be that expensive? This is theft. The woman's smile was unsettling. Oh, that's no good, then, is it? Of course, if you return the stolen merchandise, we can pretend this whole affair never happened. We really don't have anything, pleaded a particularly large officer. The Doskoy Panda manager shot him a glare. The missing items are fitted for someone twice the size of an average man. Wouldn't you be the prime suspect, sir? The officer recoiled. Smoker wanted to groan. A prime suspect or not, he fully believed his subordinate when he said he didn't steal anything. It was purely coincidental that they happened to be passing through the wrong place at the wrong time. We can't do anything about that, unfortunately, the captain told her. Is there any other way that we could settle this? The world government had a lot of sway over East Blue. If he could, he would like to avoid contacting his superiors about this, but absolutely not. Either pay for the items, return them, or get off our island. Doskoy Panda will make sure that no world government vessel will be allowed to dock on this island ever again. Otherwise, a cold sweat ran down Smoker's back. Maybe I could. Absolutely not. One or the other, no exceptions. This woman is way too unreasonable. He gritted his teeth. Doskoy Panda basically ran Mirrorball Island. The world government couldn't risk losing access to it, definitely not over something as asinine as this. And he wouldn't be the reason it happened. Damn it, men, board the ship. We're setting sail. He could only hope that they were prepared for a premature departure. They were not. They had no fresh foods on board at the moment. Only half their water supply and whatever rations and preserved foods they had in case of emergencies. They still had a few more days before they were in actual deep shit, but they were already operating under suboptimal conditions. How could he expect this group to chase a dangerous pirate if they were moaning and groaning through basic chores? And so, here was Captain Smoker in his office, head in hands, wondering what to do while he glared at the damn animal that just so happened to be holed up in his office the entire time they were looking for it. With a violent sigh, he pushed his chair to the side and stormed out of his office. Sir, an officer, the same one that came in to see him earlier, saw him come out. He was greeted with a salute. Is there something we can do for you? We'll delay the search if we have to. Our main priority is to get back on track. What's the quickest way for us to get some damn food on this ship? The officer's eyes brightened for a moment, but he was quick to force his expression into something more neutral. Well, sir, the closest island is about a day's travel away, but it's off course. However, straying too far off course was definitely suboptimal. At this point, Smoker was open to any and all suggestions, no matter how unprofessional. There's a floating restaurant that's usually near these waters. It's pretty well known, actually. Smoker's eyes widened by a fraction. It might cut into their budget more than he would like, but allowing Monkey D. Luffy to get past him was not an option. He'd sooner cough up the extra cash. A restaurant, He mulled it over as the words left his mouth. Yeah, you might have heard of it before. It's called the Parody. Lemme, hey, I can get Syrup Village banged out in one chapter style. Also me 8k words later. Yeah, I'm splitting this one up lol. Probably gonna be a double update since the monkey turning the cogs in my brain wants the happy chemicals from what's to come. This is probs going to make the Fate fans very unhappy considering my stuff is 99% Shiru inserts and 1% Luffy being stupid. Good thing the monkey isn't cognitively developed enough to pick up on fanfic community social cues. Thank you to Gregudo for beta reading this one, and thank you to everyone on Patreon who voted for the illustration. Toei, Bandai, and Oda stole all my money through Yamato merchandise, so I demand that my cope be vindicated. She'll join the crew FR on no cap. It doesn't let me use special characters, so either pretend that it does or read this on QQ, SB. Sengoku's worst enemy of late had been nothing but his own thoughts. It was Garp's fault. He had instilled this particular nagging trepidation into the back of his head. Monkey D. Luffy, no matter his heritage, was a boy who could have never set foot off his home island in the East Blue until just recently. His bounty was a result of Kaido's interference, not his own abilities, and yet, he glared at the report on his desk. Smoker hadn't caught the boy yet. It hadn't been that long, and nothing about the man's track record would suggest that he wouldn't catch the boy soon. And yet every day that passed with Garp's grandkid roaming free was another day he could let his brain rest. Monkey D. Luffy was nothing right now, but Kaido's inexplicable fascination, or even knowledge, of the boy was just one of many indicators pointing toward the kid becoming just like his father. The world government did not have the facilities to deal with another dragon. There was probably nothing more that he could do, nor was there anything else that he should do. He wasn't about to mobilize a force from all the way out here. The Grand Line's dangers were much more pressing, after all. But would any other marine in such a weak ocean be able to handle Garp's progeny? No, between a rock and a hard place, then, putting his faith in that smoker boy was all that he could really do. Fleet Admiral Sengoku, sir. His eyes tracked upward until they landed on the door to his office, behind which the voice came. You may enter, he responded. A marine saluted dutifully. Sir, the day's reports. Sengoku nodded silently. A fresh stack of papers detailing unpublished recent happenings were added to his pile. Wonderful. Thank you. You're dismissed. The marine saluted once more and left. Sengoku could only stare at the pile blankly for a moment before sighing. Might as well get started, he grumbled, picking up the first printed sheet and skimming it. With every line that he read, his eyes widened more and more. It might work. He didn't know why that man was so close to the East Blue, but Fleet Admiral Sengoku grabbed the Den Mushi and dialed a number. Lady, hey, you're Kaya, right? Can we have your ship? I called out to her excitedly. She looked caught off guard though. She blinked down at us with big, wide eyes. My ship, she repeated dumbly. Nami made a sad noise of some kind. What was that about? Yeah, I shouted. The sun was in my eyes, so I had to tilt my hat forward a little. I heard you had one and you weren't using it. Whoa, Longnose exclaimed, standing between me and the big house. Look, man, I don't have anything against you. I don't even know you, but hey, yeah, we don't even know who you are. Who just approaches a stranger and asks them for something that's as big of a deal as a ship? I thought about what he said for a moment. He wanted us to pay her, right? It made sense. Checking. How much did a ship cost, anyway? Can I buy it off of you for 1,000 biri? I asked the girl. She still looked confused. I'm sorry, I don't understand. How about 500? That's even stingier. Longnose squawked. A ship costs millions of biri. What's wrong with you? I froze and my jaw dropped. No way, Captain, Nami moaned. It's okay, Usopp, Kaya spoke softly. It was a little hard to hear since she was all the way up there. She was smiling when she turned back to face me. Please, take the ship. I'd feel awful if it never had the chance to set sail even once. It's not like I can do much with it. Seriously, it was my crewmate's turn to freeze up. I stuck a pinky in my ear to clear it out a little. I hummed, MK. Thanks. I didn't know why anyone would buy a boat if they weren't gonna use it. It sounded kind of stupid, like cooking meat and not eating it. But it wasn't like it was any of my business. Hey, Longnose shouted again. He looked a little angry, actually. I'm sorry, but you can't have the ship. Nami stepped forward and put a hand on her hip. Look, she already said that we could take it, pal. It's not yours, is it? Usopp, Kaya called out to him again. Please, be nice. Like I said, it's okay. It's not, he shouted back. You are going to set sail. You're going to explore the world, and when you do, it'll be aboard the Going Merry. So please, don't say something like that. Kaya got teary-eyed. Usopp, I exchanged a look with Nami. There was probably a story here. Hey, Captain, she whispered into my ear. I think he's talking her out of it. If we don't get things rolling our way, we might as well kiss that ship goodbye. I pouted. What do you think we should do, then? She sighed but tried to smile reassuringly. Leave it to me for now, okay. I nodded and she stepped forward. We're really sorry to have bothered you about this, Miss Kaya, Nami apologized. Her smile didn't feel like a smile at all. This isn't the sort of thing that you can decide on the spot, is it? Even if you're not using the ship, it's still a tall order, especially if strangers approached you with no prior warning or explanation. The girl didn't have the chance to get a word in. Nami powered through. So how about you sit on it, then? For a little while, at least. You don't have to give us an answer right away. We'll get out of your hair for now. I promise. Longnose didn't seem convinced, but Kaya didn't look as uneasy as a moment ago. Thank you for your understanding, she eventually said, sounding relieved. I didn't catch your names, did I? Nami gave me a thumbs up behind her back. I didn't understand what she was trying to do. It was better to get the ship now, right? But I went with it. I'm Nami, she introduced herself. And this is my captain, Luffy. We're sailors, she finished for me. We're from a small fishing village southeast of here. Maple Village. Have you heard of it? I hadn't. Kaya's eyes lit up. Isn't that where Mary gets his plum wine? Longnose asked the rich girl. Huh, this was a real place. But I was from Fuchsia, not Maple Place. What was going on? So confusing. We're fishermen ourselves, Nami said. But our old ship's keel was damaged irreparably. We need a new one and quickly or else everyone's going to be in trouble. There aren't many of us to begin with. If we can't work, our local industry will be in ruins. Really? That sounded really bad. Miss Nami, Kaya said her name sadly. My crewmate shook her head. No, please, think about this carefully. We don't want to seem like we're begging, but it's true that you deserve to know why it is that we're here. Captain is a man of many talents, but she trailed off. Kaya smiled. Yes, I understand. I hope waiting isn't too much of an inconvenience. I will discuss the matter with my attendants and I'll have a definitive answer for you by morning. Mr. Luffy, Miss Nami, I will do what I can to help. Her eyes widened. I'm so sorry. I should have come down to greet you properly. You must find me terribly rude. Not at all. Nami pulled on the side of my vest. We'll be back tomorrow. Please have a restful evening, Miss Kaya. To you as well. She waved at us as we left. My eyes were on Big Nose, though. He had a strange look on his face. He wasn't talking. He wasn't smiling. He wasn't frowning. He was just looking at us. I was about to ask him what was wrong, but Nami just pulled on my vest again. Hero of the Thousand Plans was no idiot. Being smart, however, was not the reason why he earned his moniker. He was meticulous. There was no such thing as overthinking. Every outcome, every variable, every pawn and player in every circumstance had to be accounted for. If he didn't at least do that much, then he wouldn't lie to himself by saying that his actions were adhering to any sort of plan. Planting himself as the submissive butler of a sickly girl for the better part of a decade in an effort to inherit her fortune was, without a doubt, part of a plan. It was his most ambitious plan, to be sure, but it was by no means his riskiest. If one could identify all possible variables, risk would naturally be eliminated as those variables were dealt with. It went without saying that he did as much in preparation for the plan in question. That's what he thought until just recently. Monkey D. Luffy was a variable that couldn't have been accounted for because the chances of something like him existing at all were astronomically slim. An East Blue pirate. He could handle those. Everything, short of Arlong. But Arlong was wholly sedentary. Could be dealt with discreetly, either with the help of Django and the rest of them or through his own effort if such a thing needed to be wasted. A pirate with a bounty in the hundreds of millions could not be called an East Blue pirate. He'd seen the boy, Tim, and that skittish girl who followed him around. Did he have the air of 100 million Bree man about him? Of course not, but that wasn't the point. The point was that he was cautious enough to know that Monkey D. Luffy was a man that he needed to know everything about before deeming him to be a measured variable. He simply did not have the time to look into him. His plan should be and would be put into play in a matter of hours. Sooner, even, if he thought better of it. Such thoughts brought him down to the tavern in the middle of the hamlet. The pirate in hiding wore his best troubled expression and clutched the bounty poster in his hand tightly as he walked in. Clahador, the owner, greeted him. What brings you in? You're not much of a drinker. You haven't seen a strange boy wearing a straw hat pass by here, have you? The question drew the attention of the bar's patrons. The owner frowned confusedly. Aye, but why? The bounty poster was slammed down on the counter loudly. The onlookers were thrown off. Clahador was seen as a patient and even-keeled man. For something to elicit such an exaggerated reaction would mean that it's quite serious. That was how they would interpret it, surely. He's a pirate, he said loudly. It wasn't quite a yell, but it was the most that this perceived character could muster. It would do. He heard the gasps he was waiting for. The three children that followed the liar boy everywhere. Why they were here, he didn't know, approached to get a better look at the poster, while he'd normally direct them elsewhere. Their involvement in this current instance would not be put down. One of them gasped, Wah, 156 million Buri. Another screamed, that big sis is a pirate too, then. For a moment, there was silence. When the next moment came, the room erupted in gasps and nervous murmurs. What? That girlie pulled the wool over our eyes. What should we do? What do you think, Clahador? Once more, they all turned to him. Kuro's palms slid up his cheek to adjust his glasses. The image that he crafted of himself was perfection. In this village, he was the utmost figure of respect, and therefore authority. He could do no wrong. He was God. He could direct these people like pawns on a chessboard. We should drive them both out, he answered. The suggestion was met with uncertainty. But, Mr. Clahador, this is a very high bounty, isn't it? One of the men pointed out. He's just a boy. It doesn't matter who he is or what he did, he responded evenly. We must find him, rally our forces, and drive him out. Murmurs stirred up once more. They grew more and more confident by the minute. Their god had given the rabble his sanction. Yes, everything would go according to plan. Hey, Nami, what was all that stuff about Maple Town? We were walking back down the hill that led to the village. It was a really pretty place at this time of day. Even Nami, who always looked like she had a bad stomachache, looked like she was enjoying the orangeness of everything. She seemed a little less jumpy than before, even. She looked at me with a raised brow. Maple Village. Yeah, you were talking about how we were fish people and that our ship broken. I lied, obviously. Seriously. She stared at me as though I grew a second head. What? You didn't think that any of that was real, did you? I was glad. No one was starving, then. I frowned. Isn't it bad if they find out then? I asked. They must know that place a lot better than us since it's that close. It took her a little bit to find an answer. Everything is relative. For a sailor, it might not be that far, sure, but most people have never left their home village before and probably never will. You saw that girl, right? Her arms were practically trembling just to hold her head out her bedroom window that long. She's not going anywhere. Then Nami laughed. It was a strange laugh, like she was telling a joke that she didn't even understand herself. It wasn't a real laugh. I didn't say anything. What's wrong, Captain? She tried to keep pace with me. You should be in a better mood, right? I got us that ship. Sure, she said she wanted to talk things over with her people, but it's in the bag. We appealed to her empathy, so I doubt she'll say no. The final decision is hers to make. After all, it's really sad. I stopped walking, which made Nami stop walking too. I looked at her, not being able to see the world even once, being stuck in the same stupid house until the day you die. Is there anything worse than that? Nami stared at me like someone forced her to swallow a lemon whole and she was trying to keep a straight face. But I threw my hands out to point at the everything in front of us as I kept talking. Look at how cool this place is. The houses look so silly and there's this giant hill that lets us see all of it from up here. If I stayed in Fuchsia Village, I wouldn't have known that a place like this existed. Never. I hate the thought of that. I wish Yamato could have been here. She would have understood. When she was trapped in that pagoda and her dad wouldn't let her leave, there wasn't anything she wanted more than being able to explore the world. Hearing that there were people who could go do that whenever they wanted but just didn't kind of made me mad. Nami looked like she was about to say something, but her attention turned to something behind me. There were torches and pitchforks. A lot of people were climbing the hill and walking toward us. They didn't look happy at all. Neither one of us knew what was going on, so we waited in place for them to get a little closer. Ew, someone shouted. I recognized him from the tavern. You're that kid from earlier. I pointed at myself confusedly. Yeah, you're a pirate. We're not afraid of you. Get out of here. Never come back. They seemed angry, even. This was bad, right? We had to come back to get the ship. I really wanted this one. I turned to Nami again. For whatever reason, she was frozen in place. I waved a hand in front of her face. That snapped her out of it. The color of her skin flushed out of her. She looked super panicked now. She trembled. I could barely hear her voice, let alone what she was trying to say. I'm not. We gotta go. I grabbed her arm. She went from out of it to just about to scream. We rocketed into the trees of the nearby forest. The angry mob made silly, bug-eyed expressions when we did. I landed on a sturdy branch and let Nami down gently. I knew from growing up with Ace and Sabo that we were far enough that they wouldn't be able to find us right away, but still close enough that we could keep an eye on them for a moment longer. MHMM. Nami was being really loud, so I covered her mouth for a second. It was tough to hear what the villagers were saying otherwise. What the heck is that, kid? Pirates are sons of the devil. Haven't you heard? They say if you eat its fruit, you've sold your soul to the seas. He went into the forest. Should we chase him? No, stay in your houses and keep away from the shores. We have the advantage in numbers, but we don't want to give those two the opportunity to catch anyone by surprise. Please stay safe. In the meantime, I'll call the Marines. Didn't I recognize that voice from somewhere? Nami quieted down a lot. She tapped me on the shoulder and I let go of her face. That's the butler from the mansion. She whispered. It's likely that he's seen your bounty, Captain. I put on a wide smile. My bounty? Really? She clamped her hand on my mouth this time. It fell down a second later, though. Be quiet, please. I don't understand why you're not important. Never mind. We need to get back to Kobe and Zoro and tell them that we won't be able to go into town anymore. With any luck, they'll all do as the butler said and stay away from the shores while we figure out what to do. Something awful just came to mind. Nami, yes? What? What about food? She sighed. There are other towns that we can drop by if we really have to. One thing at a time, though. I whined. Nami and Zoro were standing all serious-like. Kobe looked flaky as usual and I was a little worried that he would pass out. It's obvious, right? What we should do, Zoro spoke up, breaking the silence. Kobe and Nami looked at him confusedly. But I knew what he meant. Yeah, we gotta steal the boat. The ship you took from Buggy the Clown is in no condition to challenge the seas. Find a way to repair it or, alternatively, find a new ship. The villagers have been set against you. Steal Lady Kaya's caravel and make your escape before the Marines arrive. Time limit, 15H, 59M, 59S. That's ridiculous, Kobe shouted. That's so awful. That poor girl sounds so nice. She doesn't deserve. She doesn't, Zoro cut him off. But she's not using it and we will. You don't want to be stopped by the Marines, do you? I promise you it'll be a bigger loss for us than it will be for her if things don't go well. Kobe fidgeted more. I don't. Nami sighed. I feel bad about it, but I agree. It's a race against time now. I nodded. Right. Let's go take that ship, then. We have 16 hours before the Marines get here. All three of them stared at me blankly. I blinked. Is there something on my face? Where did 16 hours come from? Nami asked. Did the butler say something along those lines? I didn't think he did. No, then you're just making stuff up. Nami and Kobe shouted. Zoro face-palmed. Never mind that. Let's just do it. Should we get on with it now? Nami shook her head. It will take the Marines time to respond if they do at all. They'll be here tomorrow morning at the earliest. We should take advantage of that period to steal it overnight. Zoro clicked his tongue. We'd be stuck navigating a ship that none of us have even seen before with close to no light. It's asking for trouble. Just leave that to me, Nami assured him. At least this way we'd have time to circle the island and pick everything up from Buggy's ship before heading out. You sure have an awful lot of confidence in yourself. She huffed and ran a finger under her nose. Of course, I dropped onto my butt and crossed my legs. Was I forgetting something? Nami blinked and looked left and right. Say, where's Buggy anyway? Right, that's what it was, maybe. Zoro silently walked over to a pile of debris and picked up the head by the hair. It was making all kinds of noise, but no words were coming out since something was jammed into his mouth. I put him over here. He's awake. Was he being annoying? Nami asked. He was scaring the kid. Kobe blushed. And never mind that. We have to wait a little while, right? What should we do in the meantime? Should we prepare somehow? Something sparked behind my eyes. A bonfire. We have to start a bonfire. I repeated, shouting. I got to my feet and started jumping up and down. We're on a beach at night planning stuff. It's obvious that we can't do that without a bonfire. I don't think that's a great idea. Kobe whined. Even if you don't think the villagers will come here. Sure it is, I countered. We can even get Longnose to help us. None of them looked like they understood what I was talking about, so I turned around to face the forest and cupped my mouth with my hands so that I could make my voice louder. Hey, Longnose, quit hiding and come help us make a bonfire. There was a bunch of noise as he fell out of a tree. He scrambled to his feet. I won't let you take Kaya's ship, you pirates. I don't know what you're all talking about over there, but you've been outed. Me and my 1,000 men will fight to the death. You won't stand a chance. How long has he been here? I heard Nami whisper to Zoro, who didn't seem to be listening. Did he hear that stuff we said about stealing? Nami slapped a hand over Kobe's mouth halfway through his sentence. My smile dropped. I tensed up. This was serious. I had no idea that Longnose had that many followers. I didn't know where they were, but that meant that they were really good at hiding. Stealing the ship would only be easy as long as no one could stop us, but 1,000 people could definitely get in the way. I squared my shoulders. Captain, I heard Nami's voice. Is something wrong? I took a deep breath. I had to take care of this guy quickly and find his other 1,000 guys. The color of conquerors swells within you. Black lightning came slamming down from the skies. I focused the whole of my haki on Longnose, ready for him to fight. He passed out. I ran up to where he was sleeping and shook him. What did you do? Nami and Kobe screamed. I turned my neck around with wide eyes. All three of them were staring at me with open jaws and pale white skin. Big Nose was trying to say something too. I picked my ear. I dunno. I was gonna fight him. He said he had 1,000 men. He was obviously lying. All three of them snapped. Big Nose agreed. Seriously, Zoro sighed. I'll go put Buggy away. Usopp's eyes fluttered open. Man, everything hurt. Did he pass out? What was he doing before that? He couldn't really remember. The boy tried his best to take in his surroundings as he slowly came back to the surface. This was the beach. Someone had started a fire a little bit away from him. Why was he here again? The face of the Straw Hat Pirate hung over him. He screamed. Usopp jolted upward and slammed his forehead against the pirates, which didn't seem to hurt the other man much but did a good job of knocking him back onto the sand. You're awake. The pirate cheered. The lady from earlier was here too. There was also a kid and a really scary-looking guy with green hair. There were more of them. Usopp's words weren't coming to him. Knowing what he did about the unassuming and cheery guy in the hat, he couldn't help but to be afraid. So, the girl started. She was sitting on a log with her chin resting on the palm of her hand. She was staring at him with a bored expression on her face. "What are you doing out here tailing a group of big, bad pirates? Your friend's butler made sure to tell everyone how dangerous we are." Usopp gulped. He spewed the first thing that came to mind. "Ah, well, I'm a merman, you see. During the day I'm fine living amongst the people of this fine village. But at night I need to return to my home at the bottom of the ocean. I wasn't following you at all. Honest. We were just going the same way, so if you'd let me go." Straw Hat made a sound of understanding. I see. He believed that. He's obviously lying, the green-haired man told him. Straw Hat made a face of shock. No way. There was no way that Straw Hat was actually that dim, right? He had to have been joking. Right. Still, the long-nosed boy knew that pirates were nothing to mess with. Though he had grown up hearing of their adventures on the high seas, by no means was he one to hold on to the misconception that a whole lot of them weren't scum of the earth. He had a bad feeling earlier when that girl was talking to Kaya. He could tell that she was lying, no matter how good at it she happened to be. And he really hated the idea of someone taking advantage of his friend like that. If the sob story was nonsense, then he just had to know the truth. He followed them using his super-developed stealth skills, far enough to be unnoticed yet close enough to know what was going on, and was there to see Klahadore and the villagers run them out of town for being pirates. He was scared, but he had to go one step further and follow them back to their den of evil. He couldn't really overhear much at that distance, but they must have been up to something, right? Trying to figure out new ways to trick Kaya, probably. Straw Hat grabbed him by the head and he froze. What? The pirate was staring at him with narrowed eyes. What's going on? No one answered him. The other pirates looked just as confused. Actually, suddenly, Straw Hat smiled. "You look familiar, Long Nose. Could it be that Usopp's your dad?" "Huh, you know my dad," Usopp repeated unsurely. The uncontrollable fear buzzing under his skin couldn't be controlled, but the words still came out somehow. I owe him a lot. His crew visited my village when I was a kid. I admired them. They're the reason why I became a pirate in the first place." A thought occurred to him, in some treacherous corner of his mind. Usopp knew that he could relate to that sentiment, but for the sake of his own safety, and the safety of the village, he couldn't allow himself to fall down that rabbit hole. He blushed. "Can you tell me stuff about him, maybe?" "Screw that. These were pirates. Real pirates." Oh, how he yearned to hear of what it would be like to live out his dream of being one himself. Until now, all he had to keep himself company with were the lies and tall tales that he went to tell Kaya every day. And it wasn't like they were that dangerous, right? They couldn't be. The Straw Hat guy barely looked any older than he was. Besides, if they talked about pirate stuff, he could distract them until tomorrow morning, and they wouldn't be able to come up with anything before they met with Kaya. Their plan would be foiled then. Right, that was what he was gonna do. The three older pirates looked at each other, just like Usopp. The younger pink-haired one didn't seem to know what they were thinking. "I don't know," the girl moaned unwillingly. Usopp panicked, but this was his only chance to hear about his dad. "Maybe if you brought us food," Straw Hat suggested. "And booze," added the green-haired one. Usopp didn't have to think twice. "I'll be right back," he shouted, jumping to his feet and rushing back toward the village. He definitely had foodstuffs back home. Maybe he could get Pimmon to steal some of his parents' wine for him. He had a nagging suspicion that there was something wrong about the way that exchange went down. But he was too excited to care. And then, Shanks poured the booze over his head. Captain and Usopp laughed like children as the pirate boy finished his story. They each had a leg of ham in hand and a pile of bones strewn in the sand at their feet, the ones closest to the fire sporting a char. Kobe wasn't doing much to participate in the conversation, removed from any personal attachment as he was, but he seemed to enjoy spectating nonetheless. Nami and Zoro watched them silently, both with a tankard of ale in hand, amused by the realization that the boys had quickly forgotten their initial conflict as the night went on. Exasperation aside, Zoro was happy that things were going as well as they were. None of the villagers had come to bother them despite the large fire. This Usopp kid had stopped giving them grief, and he even had brought them food and drink to boot. Neither he nor Nami knew of this pirate crew that Captain kept talking about, the one that Usopp's father had supposedly joined. But they sounded oddly merry. It made for good campfire talk, but it didn't really leave a proper impression of pirates. He was sure that Nami felt the same way, seeing her complicated expression. The two of them spoke of the group positively, or in Usopp's case, his father specifically, and it wasn't difficult to see why. If your impression of pirates was a group of friends sailing the seas, having fun and doing whatever they wanted, then of course you'd want to be one. It could be chalked up to naivete. On Long Nose's end, at least, Captain felt like he had a stronger grasp on how the world worked. Somehow, despite his generally childish antics, honestly, he wasn't sure that he would ever really understand how Captain's brain worked. Nami put her drink down. Hey, Usopp, would you mind if I asked you a question? She asked. He paused mid-laugh. Kaha, unsure. What is it? What do you think of Kaya's butler? Klahadore, was it? The boy got suspicious immediately. Why do ya want to know? Thinking of getting in with the retainers. Zoro scoffed. As much as he liked hearing about his father, it was clear that he wouldn't be forgetting about the ship anytime soon. She shook her head. Not at all. If anything, there's something off about that guy. He had it out for us from the get-go. He knew that we were pirates. He's the reason we were chased out of town. Usopp frowned. Yeah, Klahadore never liked me much either. The feeling's mutual, though. The guy's got a big stick up his ass. His eyes widened. But hey, now that you mention it, do one of you have a bounty? That's the only way that he would have known. But I don't remember seeing any of you in the bounty pile down at the tavern. That's the only place anyone could see something like that around here. Kobe got up in a panic and fell flat on his face. Gah, do you think he thinks I'm a pirate? Aye, no one would mistake you for a pirate, Zoro muttered. Trust me, you're safe. But if anyone had a bounty, it could only be Captain Right. He was sure of it. The swordsman looked at the man in question and almost had to do a double take. Is he sleeping? He asked incredulously. Captain was slumped over the log he was sitting on, lights out and snoring loudly. A normal person would wake up hurting if they slept in such a strange position. He should have been surprised that he could fall asleep in circumstances like these so easily, but he really wasn't. Usopp laughed. Nami and Kobe buried their heads in their hands. Really? Now? The girl complained. The local boy got to his feet and dusted off his ass. Well then, if there's nothing else, I'll be going, I guess. Tell Luffy I said thanks when he wakes up. Don't think I'll let you pull a fast one on Kaya though, you hear? Yeah, sure, Zoro answered flatly, waving him off. The other two were a little more polite in their goodbyes. This guy knew they were pirates still, right? Telling a pirate crew that you were going to inconvenience them at the next possible opportunity was a stupid idea. It had barely been a few days and they were already being disrespected. The three of them, four if one counted their sleeping captain, sat around the crackling fire silently for a little while longer. Hey, shouldn't we wake him up? Kobe asked. Well, now was as good a time as any. There's no rush, Zoro told him, speaking before Nami could. She looked at him questioningly. Kobe furrowed his brow. Zoro-san, I'm surprised you haven't turned tail and run off yet, Nami. Her immediate reaction was an indignant scoff. It sounds like you have something to say. Why don't you just say it, then? She told him. Looking past his relaxed composure, it was clear that he did, in fact, have something to say. Kobe looked panicked, clearly unsure of whether a fight was going to break out between them. He directed a teary-eyed glance at Luffy's sleeping form, wishing for the man to wake up. The swordsman laughed sardonically. He picked up the sheathed Wado Ikamanji from its perch against a nearby chunk of beached wood and tapped it against his shoulder idly. It wasn't a threat, exactly, but he wouldn't mind if the girl felt a little intimidated. I just did, didn't I? I don't understand. Yeah, you do. You understand very well, even. Zoro smiled mockingly. I'd even ask you to fill in some blanks for us. Back in that last town, when we saved you from the clown, you were adamant about having nothing to do with us, and yet, one look at Captain's bounty had you changing your tune. You must think you punched one hell of a ticket, huh? So much so that you'd rather tear yourself apart here with us than risk him getting away before you can use him. Her expression was stony. What makes you think I saw anything like a bounty, let alone his? Zoro chuckled. That was the part she felt like focusing on, huh? Kobe stuttered. Hey, do you think? Shut up for a second, kid. Okay. He snapped back without wasting a breath. Zoro pushed himself to his feet and walked back to Buggy. Ignoring the angry glare he was being given, he picked him up by the hair and pulled out his gag. Kua, you flashy. Hey, how much did you say our captain's bounty would be? 100 million. Nami didn't say anything, but the way her shoulders locked up was enough to give it away. The clown grumbled something incoherently before speaking up. Something like that, yeah. 6. Nami mumbled something, but it was too quiet for anyone to hear it properly. 156 million Buri, she repeated, quickly looking down at the sleeping man to make sure that he couldn't overhear any of this. No wonder she was scared shitless of him. What a stupidly high number. What did a guy have to do to pick up a bounty like that? Zoro chuckled. It quickly gave way to a full-blown laugh. He tilted his head back and laughed even louder, a tear in his eye, when it became evident that she was worried that the noise he was making would wake the captain up. I can't believe it, he started goadingly. He would really stoop so low just to get Sawtooth Arlong's bounty. That got to her. What an easy woman to rile up. You don't know anything about me, she snapped, eyes narrowed. Kobe released an eep and took a good few steps back. You think I would rob a sweet, kind, sickly girl blind for a bounty? Arlong took everything from me. I want him gone. Dead. I will never be able to live with myself, with what I've done to get rid of that monster. Ever. But as long as I can get Monkey D. Luffy to kill Arlong, I'll be as awful of a person as I need to be to keep him happy and to get us to where we need to go. And so it all came vomiting out. Who was she fooling with that annoyingly fake personality that she kept defaulting to? Other than the captain, maybe. Zoro was about to throw in another quip, but before he could, Nami-san, I think you're misrepresenting Luffy-san. Just because he's a pirate doesn't mean that he's someone so awful. Kobe's words came as a surprise to Zoro, in part because it showed that he had enough balls to get in the angry woman's face, but mostly because it showed that he had developed some sort of respect for the pirate despite being adamant on wanting to join the Navy. How do you explain his bounty, then? She shot back without a second thought. I have an explanation for you flashy morons. All heads turned to the talking one still hanging from Zoro's grip. Buggy had a sneer on his face. If you want me to talk, though, I expect I'll throw you into the ocean. Fine, I'll talk. You flashy, he coughed. You ever felt a murderous aura around the kid? It's the same thing that knocks Cup out when they pick a fight with him. Zoro didn't need to give it a second thought. He knew exactly what the clown was talking about. It had happened that very night with Long Nose. The kid didn't even have the chance to do anything before he dropped to the ground like a sack of bones. You're saying Captain can just make people pass out? The man tried to clarify. Is this a devil fruit thing? No, it's not a skill you can eat, nor is it a skill you can learn. It's called the color of conquerors, and only monsters are born with it. The world government is scared of these people. They either want them under their thumb or dead. But humongous bounty is to be expected. Zoro wasn't convinced. From the looks on Nami and Kobe's faces, neither were they. It sounded incredible, but was it really enough of a reason to put $100.5 million price tag on someone's head? Buggy chuckled eerily. You remember what I said about the New World? This just confirms it. Even in that place, only the ones at the top of the food chain have that power. What is he talking about? Nami asked the other two, talking over Buggy. He didn't take it very well. Shut up, woman. You have no one to blame but yourself for your ignorance. Suffer in silence when I'm speaking and don't interrupt me again. If looks could kill you, in the entirety of this world, there are maybe a few dozen who possess the color of conquerors. Don't take my words lightly. I don't know how your captain slid under my radar, but make no mistake, he stands amongst the warlords and emperors. Zoro stiffened. Despite his own nature, a cold sweat ran down his spine. Kobe went white as a sheet. And even Nami seemed to have temporarily forgotten her grievances. Warlords, those were the pirates that were so influential that the government would rather sanction their activities than expend the resources needed to stop them. Them, plus the four most dangerous pirates in the world. The clown had to be exaggerating. Being able to make people lose consciousness at will was powerful and borderline nonsensical. Yes, but it wasn't that far beyond what he'd recently learned devil fruit users were capable of. Was it really so special? He couldn't believe it, and he wasn't about to take Buggy's words at face value. And that's why his bounty is so high, you're saying, Nami concluded unsurely. Buggy looked genuinely frustrated. Yes, are you slow? Do you think I'm telling you all this because I like the sound of my own voice, you flashy bastards? I'm trying to save my own ass here. He growled. Ew, green hair, pink shit. You remember what I was saying about your captain planning something? How there must have been a reason for him to be in the East Blue. Nami wasn't present for that conversation, so she was in the dark. But Zoro and Kobe definitely remember. It left a strong enough impression. What about it? Zoro asked. He just told you the reason. Red-haired Shanks. That name. Shanks was the pirate captain of the crew from his captain's story. A gang of doofuses that seemingly existed as slapstick gags to entertain him and Long Nose as they spoke. He wasn't even sure if Long Nose's father was really a part of their crew, let alone whether they were a real pirate crew or not. Kobe was making strange noises. He started shaking. Shanks. Luffy-san was talking about that Shanks, the Emperor of the Sea. What? Buggy rolled his eyes. They're in cahoots. Pals. Partners in crime. Nami put a hand on her hip, quickly regaining her wits. For what? How should I know? There's something in the East Blue that they want. Otherwise there would be no reason for the kid to be here. I don't know. Kobe mumbled out. It sounded more like a childhood idol thing to me. Didn't Luffy-san mention that they haven't seen each other in over a decade? That's a load of, do you even hear yourself right now? The more that Buggy spoke, the more it sounded like he was just talking crazy. Maybe kicking it as a head for so long was getting to him. There was one major flaw in his argument, after all. Captain doesn't want to stay here, Zoro informed him. He wants to go to the Grand Line and find the One Piece. That was what he signed up for. He had his own dreams to chase on the way, after all. You flashy, just, hoo-hoo-hoo. Buggy was done. He just started to sob pathetically. HMGF. He was gagged again. It sounded like something obscene was thrown his way, but it was honestly too muffled for him to make it out. So there you have it, Zoro stated, putting the clown's inputs to a conclusion. We know that Captain is strong, maybe a little stronger than we first thought. And if we can put any stock in what Buggy was saying, We know why his bounty is as large as it is. Call it the hunch of a former bounty hunter, but Arlong isn't going to have a great time dealing with him. And Nami looked fed up. And is that enough to satisfy you? She clearly didn't understand what he was getting at. Maybe if he were a little better with his words, he could have driven his point home more effectively. Hopefully she'd come around. The woman huffed. What's that supposed to? Pirates. Pirates. The distant sound of Usopp's voice cut her thought. All three of them turned their attention to the forest through which Usopp burst out in a sprint and wholly out of breath. Once the boy made it to the beach, he dropped his hands on his knees and started panting. What are you getting at? Zoro asked him with a quirked brow. Of course we're pirates. No, Usopp screamed, voice hoarse. He didn't have the energy to look up at them. Pirates are attacking the village. Pirates are attacking the village. Was that? I must have fallen asleep. I rubbed my blurry eyes with a yawn. Usopp was still here. Everyone else looked confused too. You're really loud, I told him. Of course I'm loud. He shouted back. My home is being raided. I tried to feel the village to see what he was talking about. You're right. That's pretty bad, isn't it? Usopp fell to his knees in front of me. He slammed his forehead into the sand. Luffy, please. If Claador says you have a bounty, then that means you're a really well-known pirate, right? There's so many of them. Kaya, she probably won't even know before it's too late. I'll do anything. I know they drove you out, but I'll. Hey, Nami exclaimed. Slow down, will you? Explain what's going on. Usopp looked super frustrated. He gulped. I was going back home after talking with you guys. It was really dark. I thought it was strange that there were still so many lights on. When I got close, I saw fire and torches. Everyone was being forced out of their home. I would have been useless, so I ran straight back here. I don't want anyone to die. How many pirates did you see? Zoro asked. A few dozen, at least. I'd say 30, maybe even 50. From the corner of my eye, I could see Kobe and Nami stumble back a little. I smiled. Yeah, sure. We'll help. Usopp looked back up at me cautiously. Nami looked like someone nailed her on the head with a rock, too, but I didn't know what that was all about. I laughed. Hey, what's with your faces? Usopp and Nami weren't saying anything. Still, though Nami looked a little angry, Usopp just kept staring at me with his mouth hanging open. Zoro yawned and stepped forward. What are your orders, Captain? He asked right away. I hummed. It was strange that the mystery squares hadn't said anything yet, right? I wondered what that was about. We go to the village. Usopp goes to Kaya, I decided. Will that work? Kobe asked unsurely. They ran you out of town. It might cause problems. I nodded. Okay, you guys go to the village and I'll go with Usopp. Nami sounded like she choked on something. She placed herself between me and Zoro. Hey, Captain, isn't it possible that they might recognize me? Besides, don't you think that's a little much? I mean, just us three against a whole pirate crew. I slammed my fist into my palm and hummed understandingly. Got it. Then you come with me and Usopp, and Zoro and Kobe can go on their own. That's not what I meant, she shouted. She kept shooting glances at Usopp for some reason. I tilted my head, my face scrunched up. Aren't you scared of villages? That's not at all what I was saying. She shouted even louder. I looked at Zoro. He was keeping a straight face. You're fine dealing with a bunch of pirate guys, right? I asked him just to make sure. He smirked. Of course. Then it's settled. I cheered. Come on, Usopp. We'll go make sure Kaya is okay. I'll see you guys later. Nami started babbling about something or other, but she couldn't get her words out, so I pretended not to hear her. Kobe just let out a long sigh. Geez, those two were acting like this was a big deal. I ran off. Wait up. Usopp yelled as he chased after me. Wasn't he the one who said we had to hurry? Shishishi. Flag. The moment those two took off, Nami fell into a squat and pulled her hair out to the side. Our frustrations were clear. Kobe patted her on the shoulder in as reassuring a fashion as he could. Nami said, what does he think he's doing? He knows we need to leave the island, doesn't he? We can't do that without a ship. Quit whining, Zoro muttered. The man seemed ready. He had already tied his bandana around his forehead and started walking toward the forest, one thing at a time. Your priorities are backwards, she countered. First, aren't your priorities backwards? Kobe snapped, him suddenly growing a backbone threw her off as Zoro's face split off into a shit-eating grin, though neither could see it. The boy's sense of right and wrong wouldn't let him listen to her saying those things anymore. When you say it like that, you make it sound like you're okay if those innocent people die. Of course it's not okay. It's vile. There's nothing that I hate more than stuff like this, but this is just how the world works. There's stuff that I can do, stuff that I can't do, and stuff that I have to give up on if I want something done, she declared somberly. Kobe had to step away from her. Zoro snorted and stopped in his tracks, however hesitant he was to show interest in what it was that she had to say. Not that she cared. That asshole could do whatever he wanted. Nami clenched her fists. And Luffy's the one walking around with an absurd bounty, calling himself a pirate. It was meant to sound mocking, but it just came out bitter. She was her own audience now. What's with the sudden charity case? Zoro turned his head over his shoulder to lift a brow. The absence of light made it difficult to make out. Aren't you a charity case? Get over yourself. The woman gnashed her teeth. Charity case my ass. I'm ready to give my life for your captain to get rid of my problem, and that kid gets what he wants just by asking. How is that fair? Zoro almost chuckled. So that's what this is all about. Don't go making up all these great trials for yourself. Maybe if you spoke to Captain directly instead of filtering it through the lens of your own nonsense hang-ups, you'd know what you were talking about. She wanted to scream at him. She didn't have prejudices. If she touched a flame and burned herself once, she was smart enough to not touch it a second time. She knew that a fire burned hot the same way that she knew that a criminal was a criminal. She would stand by that. Monkey D. Luffy would help her, and she would fulfill whatever payment demands he could contrive to throw at her. Even if it happened to be worse than being Arlong's slave, it would be a net positive once the fishman's reign of terror over her village would end. She was great at playing whatever roles assholes wanted her to play. Whether it was pillaging other pirates for their money, lying to a sickly girl so that she could take her ship, or even looking the other way while her hands were trembling. Wait, Zoro was done listening. He just kept walking away. I said wait. He planted his foot in the ground. What? You're going the wrong way, dumbass. Crash. Kaya's heart hammered in her chest. Knowing that danger was approaching and that she was in too poor a condition to do anything about it was the worst kind of agony. Though she was currently upstairs in her bedroom, she could still hear the raucous laughter and unidentifiable, disturbing noises that the intruders were making at the entrance. It wouldn't be long before they found her. She tried to move her legs, but as expected, it was no use. She couldn't even crawl. There was no way for her to hide, let alone move herself out of bed. Nighttime was when her symptoms were the worst. She was nearly completely immobile. Why? Why did it have to be now? Maybe they wouldn't find her. Maybe they would take what they wanted and leave. She didn't know what they wanted, though, nor did she know who these people were. Not the villagers. Surely, she knew them all by name. Everyone was wonderful. And even amongst the bad apples, so to speak, none would stoop so low. They were from somewhere else, then. Bandits, pirates, she gasped. Mary, Clahador. Oh no, they mustn't try to confront these people. They were her dearest and closest companions. But men of violence they were not. They would only get hurt, or worse. Lady Kaya. Just as it had crossed her mind, a familiar voice was heard from the halls. Clahador, she exclaimed, hoping that she was loud enough to be heard and yet not so loud that the intruders would hear her. I'm in my room. The butler quickly entered. His eyes were wide and a sheen of sweat covered his brow. Are you all right? Was the first thing that came out of his mouth. Somehow, despite everything, just having him here with her calmed her nerves, if even just a little. Her tight expression loosened. Thank goodness, she let out breathlessly. I don't know what to do. A pained expression crossed the man's face. It's a pirate attack, my lady. There are. He paused in order to think of his words, likely in an effort to broach the topic without alarming her further. Many of them. Those ruffians will make their way up here at any moment. Before then, we must get away. He approached the side of her bed and helped her sit up. Beads of sweat were dripping down her face. She had a bad feeling about this. Is Mary? I'm not sure. He cut her off right away. Oh, that wasn't what she wanted to hear. She tried to stand up and her knees failed her immediately. Clahador got a hold of her and lowered her back onto the bed. They shared looks of trepidation. Both of them understood instantly that she would not be able to move. And Clahador, I'm not strong enough to carry you, he admitted, pain in his eyes. I'm sorry, She patted him on the cheek. It's okay. Please leave me and get away safely. Her breath hitched as another loud noise came from the hallway. The pirates were coming up the stairs. They would be here at any moment. Clahador gnashed his teeth. You're too important to lose here. The estate is too important to lose here. Without you, this village is doomed. The local economy would crumble. All of the safety nets that you so generously provide. I'll leave it to you, then, she insisted. His eyes widened and his jaw slackened as what she said was processed. But, I'm just a butler. I could never. She shook her head. This isn't the time for that. There is no other choice. Now, quickly, if you hand me a piece of paper, maybe I could at least give you a signature. A blank sheet might not be as good as an official document, but it's better than nothing. We'll have to hope the government accepts it. Clahador was right. If the government seized everything the pirates weren't able to plunder, her death would be in vain. Instead of heading toward her desk, her butler pulled out an envelope from his breast pocket. She gave him a questioning look. Clahador, here. He took out its contents and dropped them onto her lap along with a pen. She picked it up and her eyes widened. How? After what happened with your parents, one must always be prepared, he explained. Had they the time, she might have questioned the reasoning a little more. As it stood, she was just happy for small conveniences. She gripped the pen tightly and pressed it against the page as steadily as she could. A large, strange-looking man laughed wickedly. Were it not for the fear that the pirate crew had instilled in their captives, the villagers would have laughed at the silly little cat-like helmet he wore. That was easy, he declared merrily. Hey, Sham, what are we supposed to do with these guys anyway? Can we kill them? The offhanded question earned a few fearful squeals, but they were shut up by a quick glare. A skinnier green-haired man with a hunchback hummed. He surveyed the sight before him. The entirety of Syrup Village had been brought to the plaza in the middle of town, forced to their knees. None dared to move, knowing that there would be no escaping with the Black Cat pirates blocking the perimeter. Captain said he doesn't want much of a fuss, Sham told his larger partner. He grinned evilly. Maybe 1 or 2 gone wouldn't be the end of the world, though. The villagers that were close enough to hear the man began sniveling pathetically. Hey, another pirate exclaimed in alarm. He was dressed strangely, like some sort of dance performer. Despite his eyes being covered by heavily tinted sunglasses in the dead of night, his goatee and thick lips made for quite the distinguishing features. Don't piss off Captain Kuro. If he gets angry, none of us will see a single coin. Nami, Kobe, and Zoro observed the happenings from a safe distance. The younger two looked panicked while the swordsman kept an even composure. What do we do? Nami whispered. Is there anything we can do? One wrong move and the villagers are in the hot seat. There's too many of them. Kobe wheezed, practically choking himself in an effort to keep his would-be scream at a respectable level. I hope you have a plan, Zoro, begged the woman. You don't understand pirates, Zoro remarked simply, avoiding the plea in its entirety. He huffed. They didn't have the time to question him before he took off in a sprint, barreling through one of the pirates standing guard. He planted himself firmly between the group of rounded-up villagers and the dozen or so pirates talking about something or other in front of them. It took a moment for anyone to realize what had happened. Zoro, cried Kobe and Nami in unison. Luckily, the pirates were too distracted by the aforementioned man's sudden arrival to take notice of them. Who the heck are you? Sham asked with a sneer. The villagers began murmuring amongst themselves. The whole pirate crew had its attention planted firmly on him, weapons drawn. The one with the sunglasses gasped, noticing the 3 swords tied to his hip. You, Hirorinoa Zoro, aren't you? Zoro grinned. I am. The fat, cat-like one clicked his tongue. A bounty hunter, then. So what? A single man can't take out all of us. I don't care how strong you think you are. Despite his words, the villagers seemed a little livelier. A bounty hunter. That's Roronoa Zoro, in the flesh. I hear they call him a demon. Do you think he can? We might have a chance. Zoro's grin widened. No, I'm a pirate. A dead silence took over the moment the declaration left his lips. Zoro, Kobe, and Nami screamed again. Their incredulity doubled. Fearful tears streamed down their faces. The pair was found out. This time, he's got friends, one of the pirates standing guard pointed out. A few of the ones close by approached threateningly, seemingly happy to leave the perimeter in order to address the newer, more immediate threat, while Kobe could only throw his hands out uselessly when faced with a naked blade pointed his way. Nami allowed experience and adrenaline to take over. Her extendable staff was pulled out from under her skirt, nailing one pirate in the chin as it shot out to its full length, then smashing it against the side of the next one's head. The two could only run through the opening she had inadvertently made and join Zoro in the middle of the circle. Hopefully he knew what he was doing. The villagers looked much less sure of themselves now. Rorona is a pirate. He must be buddies with that straw hat one. I recognize that girl. We're doomed. Out from the clutches of one pirate to another. Damn it. Nami didn't understand why Zoro said that. Coming from Luffy, she could understand it. That guy had some sort of strange obsession with letting everyone know just how proud he was of being a pirate. He was a little dim, too. What did Roronoa gain from this? The villagers lost any sense of hope they might have regained. Who wouldn't? A pirate didn't help people. Roronoa Zoro, the pirate hunter, would have taken his bounty and left. So what, then, did Roronoa Zoro, the pirate, stand to gain from this? No one wanted to find out. Several enemy pirates converged in an effort to overpower the swordsman with numbers. Of course, it didn't work. Zoro unsheathed a single sword and cut them all down in an instant. Such a superhuman display was enough to unsettle the rest of the criminals and to make their captives cower in fear. Nami understood then that the reason why Zoro hadn't been acting worried was simply because he wasn't worried. It was a strange concept to her, to most normal people, actually. If you were outnumbered this badly, didn't it make sense to be cautious, if only a little? Individual strength could only carry you so far. She thought so until now, at least. Unlike Luffy, there was no devil fruit bullshit going on here. Zoro was just that strong. Kobe's own expression was somewhere between starstruck and scared out of his wits. Despite their circumstances, what Zoro just did was certainly impressive. The man with the sunglasses pressed down on his white fedora and growled. "You idiots. We're not getting anything done this way. Sham, Butcheye, attack." The two pirates in question sneered at him. "We don't listen to you. Yeah, you're not our boss." For whatever reason, their complaints ceased immediately once a chakram-like item was dangled before them on a string. They ran at Zoro with unsettled expressions. "Die, bastard." Another one of Zoro's swords was unsheathed, though these two were obviously much more skilled than the rest. One arm per enemy was all that the swordsman needed. Nami and Kobe could do nothing. They didn't even need to. Zoro really was taking on this entire pirate crew on his own, she realized. "He's distracted," one of the villagers remarked. The two stopped watching Zoro do his thing long enough to look behind them. Their eyes widened as they saw a stone leave the hands of a larger man in overalls. "A farmer probably." "No," Kobe yelled, but it was too late. The rock slammed into the back of Zoro's head. It clearly broke skin. A concerning amount of blood poured down the green-haired man's neck, his hair being dyed red. It was distracting enough that the two cat-like pirates were able to slip past his guard and pierce his body with their weapons. Nami felt as though time had stopped at that moment. Was that it, then? Were they just gonna die? Zoro was their only hope, realistically. He was the stupid kind of strong that you hoped could pull off something as crazy as taking out an entire pirate crew head-on. But Kobe wasn't. She wasn't. It was obvious that they were both gonna die here. Those villagers, too. They sealed their own fates. She wanted to call them idiots, but she understood where they were coming from. Zoro was a pirate now, wasn't he? When you were scared, your actions weren't driven by logic. And then, suddenly, Zoro moved as if nothing happened at all. He clenched the two swords he had in hand tightly and held them out to the side. Sham and Butcheye tried to make some space between them, but it wouldn't be enough. Two-sword style, Takanami. The swing wasn't within the same realm as something that a normal swordsman could achieve. The cutting edge of the weapons didn't touch flesh. Instead, the sheer power behind them sent a blast of wind hurtling straight into the pair of assailants, as well as a good number of pirates behind them. For a little while, at least, no other pirate dared to approach him. The pirate hunter cut an imposing figure the way he stood ramrod straight with his back facing them. Silence reigned for a moment. As the seconds passed, the villagers grew worried. As firm as his stature was, the injury caused by the frightened villager was all the more apparent. They were waiting for the other shoe to drop, for him to take them out first before finishing off the pirates. Nami would have been lying if she said that she wasn't expecting it. That didn't happen. Instead, he trudged forward. Moving aggravated his injuries. It was clear, thanks to his white shirt, even at this time of night, that the pirate's stabs had gone straight through his torso. His head injury bled even more. His entire back had turned dark and wet from excessive blood loss. Nami couldn't help the pang of worry that crossed through her. "Zoro," she called out to him. "Your head. Are you? What are you talking about?" He snapped gruffly, cutting her off. "My head is fine." She couldn't begin to piece together what he was trying to prove here. It wasn't like he actually couldn't feel a rock smashing into the back of his head, right? Was it just a male bravado? He slid both swords into a single hand so that he could draw his third, the white one, and he clenched his teeth against its handle. It almost felt like Zoro was exuding some sort of aura, as impossible as that sounded. The pirates were intimidated enough that they forgot about the villagers entirely and grouped up behind the one wearing the sunglasses. The two swords in his hands were pointed at the group challengingly. "There's an obstacle for me to overcome right in front of me. I don't have time to worry about whatever's going on over my shoulder. No inconvenience that comes from my back is real. Do you understand?" No, she really didn't. Was that supposed to sound cool or something? Kobe certainly thought so. The kid soaked in the sight of the man's bloodied back as if trying to commit it to memory. When the entire force of the crew of brigands descended upon the swordsman, however, he was quick to snap out of his daze. "Nami," he whispered as quietly as he could while still being sure that the woman could hear him. "Now's our chance. Let's get everyone out of here while Zoro's got the pirates distracted." She offered a shallow nod. Right. That was the right thing to do. "Let's go," Kobe said to the closest villager, the same one that threw the rock at Zoro, all fired up. "We can cover your escape, but I don't think those guys have time to worry about anything other than Zoro for now. Get out of here. This place will be safe again soon. I'm sure of it." The person he was talking to clearly didn't know how to take it. He seemed awfully conflicted, likely because pirates had no business helping their sort out, especially after the display of hostility he showed. He didn't know what Nami knew, else she would have honestly been in the same boat. Kobe wasn't even a pirate, he was just tagging along. There was context. She suppressed a sigh despite the high-strung tension of the situation. "Context, huh? Looking for the bottle early, are ye?" The peg-legged chef remarked amusedly as he slid a mug of ale toward the marine captain seated at his bar. Smoker looked pretty tired. It made sense. It was barely morning yet. The sun wouldn't rise for another hour or so. Rest hadn't been on the forefront of his, or any of his crew's minds, until they stepped foot on the restaurant parody and filled their empty stomachs. It was good that the day started early in the kitchen, else there wouldn't have been anyone to let them in. Even then, it was pure luck that the owner was willing to feed them. They were fed, though. The restaurant, closed as it was big enough to seat every Marine on his ship. They chattered merrily amongst themselves while their leader sulked on his own. I'm hoping the alcohol will make the bill hurt a little less. The owner laughed, though it really wasn't a joke. I won't ask. Thanks. Smoker took a swig. Chef, there's an archipelago a few hours north of here, right? Have you seen any pirates passing through your place? The owner scoffed. On a hunt, eh? Can't say I'm surprised. Sorry, I'm no the sort to be paying attention to all that. A bounty poster was slapped down on the bar and spun around. The head chef hummed curiously, then chortled. Thaw one, Straw Hat Luffy, eh? You recognize him, then? I recognize the poster. I'm sure most people would. What a ridiculous bounty. Smoker tapped the side of his mug as he lost himself in thought for a second. Is it really so ridiculous? He asked the older man. Wouldn't it be familiar territory for someone like you? The chef crossed his arms and grimaced. Someone like me. I'm sure you've been around the block. Come to think of it, I heard a story about this one pirate. He was from the Grand Line, who was a pretty good chef. They say his legs were strong enough to turn a grown man's skull to mush. Wasn't his name Zeph too? I heard he died in a shipwreck. A coincidence, the chef explained easily before grabbing an empty glass and pouring himself a good few shots of whiskey. Smoker observed how he waddled, knowing that his peg leg gave him a limp. A coincidence, then, Smoker agreed. I really haven't seen the lad, Cap, the chef insisted. Unless there's anything else you want from me. Shut it and eat ye food for it gets cold. Smoker snorted. He grabbed his fork, then paused. Actually, there's a dog on our ship. Could you spare it a few scraps? I know this is a respected establishment, but, Sanji, the chef shouted, I need a tea, bring something outside. Hey, Luffy, come on, we need to hurry. I pouted at Usopp. He was distracting me again. We were standing near the mansion. I couldn't see much, so it was kind of tough to figure out where all of the pirate guys would be. I didn't want to start looking for them. It felt like they were all over the place, so it wouldn't be as simple as just going to Kaya. Wasn't there an easier way to? The pirates are about to assassinate the Lady of the Hill. Move quickly and rescue her from and the rest of her dastardly assailants. Time limit 29s. Oi, what gives? The mystery square's all weird now. Why, oh, hold on. Hey, Usopp, come on, we need to hurry. I just said that, jerk. I ran toward the entrance. There wasn't enough time to worry about all that other stuff. There were pirates guarding the door. They frowned at us. Hey, one of them growled. They started stalking closer with their weapons raised. Time limit 23s. Pellets of something or other nailed them all in the foreheads before I could do anything. I looked over my shoulder in surprise. Usopp had his slingshot thingy raised in front of him. His eyes were wide and his legs were shaky. He looked totally freaked out and unprepared. Go, he yelled at me. I'll deal with these guys. Save Kaya. I blinked, not really understanding what he was thinking at first. He knew that they wouldn't hold me up much, right? I scrunched my brow as the weird cat guys picked themselves back up. Don't you want to come with me? She's your friend, right? I would have thought that you want to do it yourself. He looked super frustrated. Of course I do, he shouted. His outburst even caught the pirate guys off guard. They weren't attacking yet, at least. But I'm not as strong as you. I know that you can save Kaya and I can't. Even if he cut himself off. He was blushing a little. It doesn't matter what she thinks. As long as she's safe, I'll do anything. My mouth formed an O shape, then I grinned. After he said all that, it would hurt his pride if I took care of everything on my own, right? Time limit 13s. I laughed. I'll leave it to you, Usopp. Let me handle Kaya. The pirate guys tried to stop me, but I totally ignored them and let Usopp take care of things. Even though he was scared, he was still trying to fight these guys. He must like Kaya a lot. Then I walked through her home and beelined straight toward where I could feel her. There were more pirate guys around everywhere, but they all got knocked unconscious as I passed them by. Time limit 7s. The floorboards creaked with every step that I took. More pirates were coming at me, but they looked scared. They could tell that something was wrong since none of the other ones could get close to me. Time limit 1s. I kicked the door open. It was just the butler guy and Kaya inside. He froze when I entered. He was holding some sort of paper in front of her and had his hand wrapped around hers, making her keep a grip on a pen. Enemy pirate crew. Enemies 0 divided by 14. Captain 1/1. Captain Kuro. HP 1993/2111. Butler guy was the boss. I was staring at him blankly. There was a look of surprise on his face for a split second, but it was gone pretty quickly. He adjusted his glasses with the palm of his hand. Straw Hat Luffy. He introduced me for some reason. Are you the pirate in charge of this raid? I stopped, not moving any closer for a moment. Kaya looked like she needed a few seconds to understand what the butler guy was saying. I did too, actually. He was the guy doing all this, wasn't he? Not me. Did he forget? Was he dumb? Oh, was I supposed to name him, too? Maybe it was polite to do if you were a pirate. Pirate manners. Oil hair butler guy, I tried. Kaya went from looking confused to super shocked. That's surely not. She insisted. He and Miss Nami are kind people. I can feel it. Denial won't help us here. He snapped at her. Her breath hitched. That man is dangerous. I only found out recently, but he has a bounty that sits well over 100 million berry. That's no ordinary boy playing pirate. He must have committed atrocities beyond even the worst of what we could imagine. 100 million. That wasn't my bounty. He had the wrong guy, probably. Either that or he had trouble reading big numbers. Kaya turned her head toward me. Her eyes were wide and her whole body was trembling. No, was I? Is this my fault? The village will be in danger because she choked on her own words. I didn't do anything as she begged me. They both had it all wrong, but correcting them wouldn't change anything. I was here to beat this bad guy up. I would save Kaya because Usopp asked me to, and whatever she thought of me after that didn't really matter. After all, I was a pirate and I did break into her house. I was gonna take her boat, too. That was pretty bad too, wasn't it? She wouldn't be happy when she found out. I took a step toward them. The guy that I had to beat up narrowed his eyes at me. It's impossible to predict the actions of such a vile individual, Lady Kaya, he told her, not making any moves to attack me yet. Truly, we were all fooled. Please don't take the entirety of the blame onto yourself. I'm sorry, she cried, tears swelling in her eyes. She looked like she was too scared to look away from me, like I would do something the moment that she did. I'm sorry. It's because of the ship, right? Take it. Just, please, don't hurt Clahador. He growled at me. Vile pirate. I should have known that you'd be so shameless. I really wasn't listening to either one of them anymore. I was focused on the fact that this guy was hiding something behind his back. Clahador, no, she wailed. Get away. Please get away. It was like he flipped a switch. He went from telling me that I was being bad to throwing his hand forward at me. Were those claws? He was smiling all confident like. I grabbed his hand by the wrist and he gasped. How did you? There's no way you'd be able to react quickly enough. Oh, these look like cat paws. Is that why you're all called the Black Cat Pirates? He was silent for a moment. We all were. Kaya was the first one to break that silence. Clahador, what did you just? That name. What makes you think I'm involved with such a group? He asked me calmly. I pointed to the spot where his mystery box was, over his head. It says it, I told him. Right there. His free hand shakily rose and touched his temple. Right here, he parroted. A bead of sweat trickled down his brow. What? Are you making fun of me, boy? Are you saying you knew this whole time? His voice rising. He got really angry for some reason, but then he switched around again and started laughing uncontrollably. I was still holding his wrist, so I could feel his shoulders shake. You think you have the upper hand, then, do you? He muttered. Congratulations. You've outed me as the infamous Captain Kuro. Are you proud of yourself? I really didn't have much to say to that. He was infamous. I never heard of him. Kaya did, apparently. She cried out in shock. Clahador, you aren't really. Shut up. He yelled at her. Kaya curled in on herself, trying to make herself look smaller, while he turned back to me. What do you think you'll accomplish, exactly? She already signed everything. I own this property, this wealth, this village. Even if your little friends manage to take care of the pirates inside the mansion, the town itself will have been overrun by now. Now if you'd be so kind. He finally tried to pull away from me but visibly panicked in a funny way when it was clear that he wasn't strong enough to get my grip off. You're surprisingly strong for such a little boy. He spat. Nah, you're just weak, I told him honestly. I backhanded him and he fell to the ground in a heap. Captain Kuro. HP 0 divided by 2 111. Congratulations. #####. Kaya started screaming at me but I tuned her out. That was it. What gives? The mystery squares haven't been doing anything when I beat up bad guys lately. Over the sound of Kaya's crying, I heard someone coming into the room. I turned around. Kaya, Usopp shouted. He looked out of breath. A little beat up, too. More or less fine other than that, though. As much of a scaredy cat as he was, it didn't seem like he had too much trouble with those other guys. Are you okay? Her eyes widened once she saw him. She quickly turned her head toward me, then back at him. Get away, Usopp. She begged him. This man is dangerous. Luffy, he came to save you. Her words died in her throat. Before saying anything else, Usopp looked at us both, then at the unconscious butler guy, trying to figure out if he was missing anything. He did a double take when he realized that he was looking at butler guy. Clahador, he shrieked. I nodded calmly. He was a pirate too. Seriously? Kaya and Usopp started talking to each other about something or other. I walked toward her window and looked outside. It wasn't as dark anymore. It would be morning soon. I was definitely forgetting something. There was a reason to hurry, right? Other than the whole assassination thing just now. The ship you took from Buggy the Clown is in no condition to challenge the seas. Find a way to repair it or, alternatively, find a new ship. The villagers have been set against you. Steal Lady Kaya's caravel and make your escape before the Marines arrive. Time limit 7H44M 9S. The Marines were going to be here soonish. It was fine, though, wasn't it? That meant that as long as we got the ship, packed everything up and left before then, the Marines would miss us. We had time. I hope Zoro, Nami and Kobe were able to figure everything out. The green-haired swordsman's diaphragm expanded and contracted in a controlled fashion as he tried to catch his breath. His body was littered with cuts, though none seemed to be particularly deep. The worst that he had suffered, in fact, was likely the rock that had been thrown at the back of his head. Not that it hurt. It wasn't a wound from battle, after all. The decimated pirate crew was laid flat before him. He didn't give them a second glance, instead choosing to stare straight ahead into the distance, noticing how the sun was starting to peer over the horizon. What timing! The night ended just as he finished up. He could have used the extra light. He turned around. The villagers were still, though he didn't know why. If they were scared, they should have left when they had the chance. They were all looking at him like he was some sort of wild animal rather than a monster. More nervous than fearful. Now, all of this was done by one man. One of the villagers uttered incredulously. Zoro scoffed. The annoying navigator girl walked forward and patted him on the shoulder as she passed him by. We've got things to do and not much time to do it. You coming? She asked over her shoulder, not for a moment addressing the momentous and superhuman feat that had just taken place. He clicked his tongue, but didn't argue. She was showing initiative, at least. Even if she wasn't going to be of much help beyond that, that much was appreciated. Anticlimactically, they walked away from the scene, uncaring of the fallout of their own actions. The villagers watched them silently, either not daring to speak or not knowing what need be said in the first place. Are they really pirates? One of them mused eventually. I don't understand. Another whispered. I did something so awful. And he didn't retaliate. The man who chucked the stone at Zoro repented. Mr. was scary, but nice. Mommy, is he a saint? A child asked his mother innocently. How could anyone show such kindness and call themselves a pirate? Don't you get it? Interjected a younger voice. The villagers all looked at Kobe, who had not yet left to follow his companions. He was smiling, though it was more so to himself than at anyone else. No one person on this earth is born just good or evil. Is there really such a thing as someone who's a pirate and nothing else? Is that why you follow them, boy? An older man asked. More than anyone, you don't look the part. Kobe nodded, for once not keeping his eyes at his feet as contemplation overpowered his shy disposition. Zoro didn't help you because he's a pirate. He did it because that's just the man who Roronoa Zoro is. I'm not a pirate. Right now, I'm following them because he had to. Because he wanted to be a Marine, and they said that they could help. Because Kobe's smile grew wider as he faced them all properly. I'll be able to learn a little more about what being a good man means to me, I think. He mentally wished them all the best of luck and took off with a parting wave. He chased after Nami and Zoro. Like Nami said, they had things to do and not much time to do it. Lieutenant Fullbody groaned as the den mushy screeching on his night table forced him to wake up. He grumbled and leaned over to grab it, uncaring that his silk sheets fell off his naked body. Kacha, he yawned. Do you have any idea what time it is? Sir, you asked me to wake you at the crack of dawn. The jittery voice of a Marine recruit answered through the snail's lips. Fullbody frowned. He did, didn't he? That was right. They had received a distress call from a nearby island the night before, claiming that it was being ransacked by pirates. Only, it was really late at the time, and well. He looked over his shoulder and glanced at the back of the naked woman sleeping in his bed along with the leftover bowl of tortilla chips and cheese on the opposite bedside table. I just had sex, I'm about to eat nachos, was his thought process back when the call came in. They could wait a few hours. He knew how these things went. The pirates would have been in and out by the time they arrived anyway. Even if they left right then, all they'd have been able to do was write the paperwork for insurance claims. At least this way he had a good night's sleep. He sighed, set course for Syrup Village. When my crewmates arrived at the mansion, Kaya and Usopp stared at them with wide eyes. Some sheep guy was here too, but I didn't know who he was or where he came from, so I ignored him. Incredible, Usopp muttered under his breath. Did they really fight an entire pirate crew by themselves and win? Did they not believe me when I told them earlier? I thought it was strange that they didn't look any less worried when I said that the village would be fine. Suddenly, Kaya fell to her knees. Usopp's immediate thought was that her poor health made her collapse. He and the sheep guy hovered over her worriedly for a moment before realizing what it was that she was doing. She was bowing. Thank you, she sobbed. The three standing in front of her seemed caught off guard. For saving the village. Thank you. Nami immediately knelt next to her and pulled the girl back to her feet. Her eyebrows were knitted together. You don't have to do that. No, I must show how much this means to me somehow, Miss Nami. How can I express my appreciation properly? Don't mention it, Kobe stuttered out unsurely, then looked at Zoro. Not that I did much. Really, don't mention it, Zoro insisted gruffly. We're happy for you and all, but we gotta get out of here. Who knows when the Marines will get here? I did, she gasped. Are they coming? I'm sorry. I didn't. I don't mean to hold you. I grinned. Don't worry. We're gonna steal your ship so we won't have any problems getting away. Kobe's jaw dropped. Nami and Zoro turned to stone. Usopp looked pretty angry, actually. He grabbed me by the collar of my vest. Bastard. After everything. What are you? PFT. Ha ha ha. Kaya broke into a giggling fit, cutting right through Usopp's anger and replacing it with confusion. Persuasion check success. Once she got a hold of herself, she smiled at us kindly. Of course you can take my ship. Sheep Guy started babbling. My lady, you can't just. Great. I cheered, then looked at my crew. See, that wasn't so hard. Hee-hoo-hoo. Kobe and Zoro weren't saying anything. All that I heard was the sound of Nami crying against Kaya's shoulder. Usopp made a pouty face, but he let me go. Jerk. Didn't I tell you not to mess with Kaya? He mumbled. Shishishi. I bumped my fist against his chest. It's fine, isn't it? I told him. You're pretty strong. I thought you were just a scaredy cat at first. But you fought those pirates from earlier without any help. If anyone from around here tried anything. Not me. I can totally kick your ass. You'll be able to protect her no problem. This won't happen again. The two of them blushed. I still think you're a scaredy cat, though, I added. His blush faded a bit. His brow scrunched up. You're right. I'm not very brave, am I? Kaya touched his arm worriedly as she heard his words, but he continued. Back then, the only reason I was able to fight those pirates was because I was angry. Because they were trying to hurt Kaya, and it felt like they were an insult to what being a pirate means to me, to what I want to be. So he really wanted to be a pirate? Huh, how funny. I laughed. He looked offended right away. Well, hey, stop making fun of me. You are a scaredy cat, but I never said you weren't brave. He blushed again and turned his head away. Teachy, asshole. I laughed harder. Hey, were you serious? I asked him, about wanting to be a pirate. Everyone was giving me a look now. They didn't matter, though. Only Usopp did. Why do you ask? He asked unsurely. I blinked. He didn't get it. If you're serious about being a pirate, then just join my crew. I heard someone coughing behind me, but I didn't know who. Kaya and Sheep Guy looked pretty shocked. So did Usopp, of course. Wow, where is this coming from? This is so sudden. I didn't get this guy at all. Who cares if it's sudden? Do you wanna or not? I thought he was just going to say no for a second, but he cut himself off. Why would you even want me on your crew? He asked me in a small voice. I felt eyes drilling holes into the back of my head. Another stupid question. Usopp wasn't very smart, it seemed, because I thought it might be fun. Obviously. Kaya had another laughing fit before Usopp could answer. She hugged him from behind. He froze up right away. Kaya, go, she insisted. If you have an opportunity to follow your dreams, take advantage of that. The guy was stiff as a board, still. Kaya couldn't see it, but I could. He was getting all emotional and trying to swallow his tears. I had my answer then. I spun around, grabbed Kobe and Nami, and walked off. I knew Zoro would follow because he was the responsible one. Usopp, we'll wait for you at the ship. I heard Sheep Guy calling out to us about going somewhere merry and asking if we knew where the merry place was, but I kind of just ignored him. I'll just keep my ears open for music from the merry place. And I still wasn't sure who he was, so it would be strange to ask now since we were leaving. Nami tapped her foot impatiently. It was really loud against the wooden floorboards of our new ship. That long nose. He's sure taking his sweet time, isn't he? I didn't look her way since I was busy playing with the sheep head at the front of the ship, but I still shared my thoughts. Maybe the lady's giving him something special to remember her by. Zoro muttered. I brightened. Like meat. Maybe he got lost. Kobe offered, looking red. We got lost. She snapped back. We had to look for this stupid thing because we didn't ask where it was. And we still got here before he did. I pouted and shuffled my way back onto the ship. Geez, Nami, you sure are antsy. Of course I'm antsy. Nami snapped. Marines are coming. I scoffed. The ship you took from Buggy the Clown is in no condition to challenge the seas. Find a way to repair it or, alternatively, find a new ship. The villagers have been set against you. Steal Lady Kaya's caravel and make your escape before the Marines arrive. Time limit, 3H, 57M, 56S. It's fine. They won't arrive at the village for another 4 hours. Nami sighed and pinched her brow. If it were true that the Marines would take 4 more hours to get there, that still wouldn't be enough time for us to make a safe exit. We have to circle the island, grab our stuff, then turn back in the opposite direction to sail toward the Konomi archipelago. Plus, depending on which base the Marine dispatch is coming from, our ship would be visible at least a few good hours away from shore. Oh, that was pretty bad. Then, I laughed. Nami was looking at me suspiciously. and Kobe, who was a little further away doing something else, looked over to us nervously. Luffy-san, he called out softly. How sure are you that they'll be here in 4 hours? Super duper sure. Nami buried her head in her hands. This is another one of your stupid superpowers, isn't it? Probably. She clicked her tongue. Hey, a voice called out to us from the shore. We looked over the railing to see Usopp waving up at us. Kaya and Sheep Guy were standing behind him. He took a deep breath. I'm ready to go. Everyone, thank you. Shut the hell up and get your ass on board, dumbass. We're leaving right now. Nami screeched. Right, sorry, he whimpered. Let me just, Kaya. I stretched out my arm and wrapped it around Usopp and his stuff, then I pulled him on board. He and Kaya and Sheep Guy looked super scared. But that didn't matter right now. We had to get away, after all. I smiled super wide. Set sail, I shouted. Nami bit her nail. What do we do? She asked. If we try to get our stuff. There's no way that we'll get away before the Marines come. I frowned. We have to go. I insisted. Yamato's club's there. We can't risk our lives for just that. Nami countered. All the money's there, too. Zoro shouted down to us from the crow's nest. We're getting our stuff, Nami decided. Luffy, do you think you'll be able to keep the Marines off our back if you have to? I smirked. Of course. Good. Nami stormed off toward the helm. Everyone, get ready. You're going to have to find your way around this ship as we go along. Because we're leaving now. Kobe sighed. Aw, good. It would be bad if we left Buggy's head there, too, right? I mean, I can just imagine. Let's get Yamato's club then go to Fish Guy. I cheered. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. My stomach dropped. You flashy bastards. You just left me here. I'll kill you. If you ever, humph. Zoro gagged Big Nose again with a plank of wood, which I was fine with. Normally I would have liked to talk to him about whatever he was saying before, about Shanks, but there was other stuff that I was thinking about right now. The mystery squares hadn't given up yet. That pissed me off. I was pouting and grumbling to myself as I pulled Takaru onto the ship. Everyone else was looking at me strangely, but I felt too grumpy to explain myself properly. 99 plus items have been added to the ship's treasury. Is that everything? Nami asked from somewhere higher up on the Going Merry. I think so, Kobe answered, speaking loudly enough for her to hear. Everyone, Usopp shrieked. He ran up to the railing and waved down at us. They're here. The Marines are here. I mean, they're still pretty far away for now, but time limit 1H, 46M, 26S. Shit, Nami cursed. She grabbed the telescope from him and tried to get a better look. We're not gonna make it. It'll be impossible for us to not seem suspicious. We all boarded the ship. Nami started shouting at people and telling them what to do so that we could sail away as quickly as possible. She was still keeping an eye on the Marine ship with a compass in hand. We're sailing south, she yelled. But aren't the Konomi Islands west of here? Kobe questioned her. There's no time for that. Nami snapped. We have to make it out safely. First, if we go straight to Konomi, the Marine vessel will be able to catch up to us. If we go south, our caravel is faster. We can make a getaway and circle back around later. No, I told them. Go straight toward Nami's village. Don't turn the ship. Not even a little bit. You are not sailing under a flag. Infamy is not being used. I knew what the mystery squares were gonna say before they said it. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. I didn't care. That's crazy. Usopp told me. Didn't you hear Nami? We'll get caught. What if? He cut himself off once he realized how quiet everyone else was being. Nami was silently shaking. Fine, she gave in. I hope you know what you're doing. Zoro scoffed. Captain's orders. Kobe nodded at me cautiously, and I nodded back with a big smile on my face. I walked up to Mary's head and got ready for whatever was gonna come next. Sir, there's a caravel leaving the island at full sail. Fullbody frowned. It couldn't be the pirates, could it? He asked. It wouldn't make sense for them to stick around this long. They were obviously rushing, though, which was suspicious. No matter which way you sliced it, there was something off about a ship sailing away from an island the morning after a pirate raid. The same Marine officer shook his head. We don't know, sir. There's no Jolly Roger, but it's very possible that they've switched out the sails. The lieutenant was handed a pair of binoculars, which he used to inspect the vessel in question. Fullbody hummed. What's their course? He asked. West, sir. They don't seem to be evading us. Rather, it looks like they're following a route. Fullbody clicked his tongue. This was the time for quick action. He made up his mind. Approach them, he ordered. When we're within distance, hand me the megaphone transponder snail. The sea was calm, and yet, with how tightly I had to press my hat onto my head to stop it from flying away, I knew we were going pretty quickly. Even still, I looked at the Marines in the distance. It had been about an hour or so, and now we could make out the details on their ship pretty clearly. And now, with every minute that passed, I could see them getting a little closer. It made sense, since we weren't exactly moving in the opposite direction. I still hadn't moved from where I stood. It wasn't much longer until they were almost nearby. Sailors. A really loud voice spoke to us from the marine ship. Stop your advance immediately for a routine inspection. We have received reports of suspicious activity in your area. Once we're finished, we'll leave you to your devices. Keep going, I told everyone. I was sure that they were nervous, but they listened. Sailors. The same voice called out to us again a little while later once they noticed that we weren't doing what they were telling us to do. This is a warning. If you do not comply, we will take it as a sign of aggression and you will be treated as pirates. We will open fire. Are they serious? Kobe asked nervously. We won't have time to protect ourselves. They'll sink us. Usopp added. Keep going, I said again. Sir, there's a man standing on the figurehead. The marine with the telescope shouted. He's wearing the marine gasped. It's the one from the bounty poster. Straw Hat Luffy. Full Buddy's blood ran cold. Straw Hat. This wasn't just a pirate ship. This was a pirate ship housing the largest bounty in the East Blue. Fire, Lieutenant Fullbody commanded. A cannonball was shot straight at the figurehead where I was standing. I heard a bunch of shrieking behind me. I caught the cannonball. There was enough force behind it that the ship still shook a little, but I absorbed most of it with my arm. The Going Merry was totally fine. I looked over my head and grinned. Everybody was staring at me with open jaws and wide eyes. Why, you? I squared my shoulders and wound my arm back. All hands on deck. Cannons at the ready. Fire. I threw the cannonball right back at them. Boom. The cannonball flew at double the speed and shot straight through the side of the marine ship. There was nothing they could do to stop it. Even from all the way over here, we could see the giant hole it left behind. I could just about hear the sound of the crew screaming and running around like headless chickens as they tried to stay above water. I spun around and smiled proudly at my crew, planting my fists on my hips. Not bad, huh? There was a soft thump as Usopp fell to his knees. The devil fruit sure is something else, I heard Nami mumble breathlessly. She and Kobe looked just about as worn out as Usopp. I seriously didn't know what she was talking about, though. I didn't use it. The marine ship was super damaged. They started sailing away. They were probably scared of sinking if they stuck around any longer. That was pretty easy. Zoro was staring at me seriously. It looked like he wanted to say something, but congratulations. You have %. I scrunched my brow. I thought something was up earlier, but there was something really wrong with the mystery squares. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. That part was still working, unfortunately. Boo. And then a sea king sprung up from the water. Like, just now. It was really sudden. Considering how super duper huge it was a shock that it didn't make more of a fuss earlier. It might have been the biggest sea king I'd ever seen before, actually. Not that I'd seen many. There was the one from the coastline around Fuchsia. Then there was It was just there for a moment, water from its body dripping onto the deck of our ship. It pulling itself up from the sea was enough to shake everything a little. It wouldn't be still for long, though. I found it kind of strange that it didn't have a mystery square. Someone let out a really pathetic scream. Probably Kobe. What do we do? The kid asked. That thing's huge, Usopp observed. Turn around. Nami begged. Hold on. Stop. I shouted at them. My face was super serious right now. Didn't I say so earlier? No matter what happens, this ship isn't changing course. The three of them dropped to her knees. We're gonna die. He's crazy. We're gonna die. Zoro stepped forward. His face was pale and sweaty, but he was smiling. His hand rested on the hilts of his swords. Aye, Captain. I couldn't help but find the way he said it funny, so I laughed. I quickly spun around to face the big sea king that was eyeing us like fresh meat. Let's go. The sea king opened its mouth. I punched the floppy thing behind its teeth. My fist stretched out as I swung it and got it stuck in the back of the creature's throat. I didn't try to use haki or anything, but even so, I felt its massive skull crack around my knuckles. My hand dug halfway to the back of its head until its entire body couldn't help but be carried away. The rest of the Sea King got flung out of the water. The suddenness of something so large shooting out of the sea made a huge wave that almost flipped us over. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. The others finally got back to their feet. Everything happened so quickly that everyone wasn't given a chance to understand what had just happened. Wow, 2 more Sea Kings came up. 3 more. What the hell's going on? Nami shrieked. I punched those ones too. Everyone got knocked right back onto their butts. All the super huge bodies crashing back down into the water was really making the merry fight. But it was doing a pretty good job. I was happy with this ship, I decided. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the main story quest has commenced. The effects of # have activated. Your heart beats to the rhythm of hash, hash, hash. A giant shadow was cast over us. Another ginormous wave had formed. It was the same kind that took out Buggy's ship before, only this one was bigger. On one hand, I couldn't fight the sea. I'd tried it before, after all. On the other hand, I wouldn't let some stupid box tell me what to do. While my crew was shouting and arguing about something or other, I needed to focus and think. The wave was really big, which meant that I had to get rid of it with something really big. Sure. A normal fist wouldn't be big enough. I needed a big fist. X, divine swiftness, Takaru connected. And Yamato knocked the air out of my lungs again. I couldn't even react. Even now, she was still way too fast for me. Since my fists were small, even if she didn't dodge, every punch I threw at her had to be dead on, otherwise she'd just smack it out of the way. It didn't matter how strong it was or how far I could stretch. Is that all you've got? She taunted me, smiling. She knew that I'd get mad, which I did. I pouted. There was still a little less than a year before we promised that we'd head out, but still, this wasn't good enough. I had to be stronger. I had to be better. I'll get you, I promised. And then I had an idea. A great idea. If she could smack my hand out of the way even if it was strong, I'd just make it so that I could hit her even if I missed. Or something. X. I bit my thumb, punctured the skin a little, and blew, and blew, and blew. I didn't stop until it was more or less big enough to fight the wave. Luffy, what are you? Oi, holy crap. The color of conquerors swells within you. My haki went straight to my really big fist. Gamu no, I stopped. What was I supposed to call this thing? I never made it this big before. Luffy, Nami sobbed. Oh, I was wasting time. Gigant Kanabo. I punched the wave. My fist was almost as big as the ship. That part hit the wave first, and then an impact 3 times as big smashed against the wave in the area beyond where I actually hit it. Using haki, this was my technique to smack Yamato even when she was being sneaky. The entire wave practically exploded away from us. The Going Merry wasn't touched at all. It was able to sail past the giant cloud of mist that I made with just a bit of rockiness caused by me throwing my punch and maybe that other big wave that I just caused really far away. But I wasn't smart enough to tell for sure if that had anything to do with it. Notice, this side quest cannot be accepted until the effects of hash have activated. Your heart beats to the rhythm of hash. Error. The program has stopped responding. System failure. A problem has caused the program to stop working. The program will be temporarily unavailable as diagnostics are performed. The system will be optimized via consumer data and error reports. Please be patient as the newest version is being developed. And then there was nothing. Like, really nothing. The sea was calm. There were no more sea kings popping out of nowhere. The mystery squares were gone. For a moment, we had complete silence. I'm hungry, I decided, then walked toward everyone else. Kaya gave us food, right? They weren't answering. They were all staring at me blankly. Even Zoro. I tilted my head. Come on, guys. What's wrong? Let's eat meat and celebrate. The mystery squares finally gave up. After all, celebrate what? Nami screeched, finally snapping out of it. Not dying. That was insane. What the hell just happened? None of that was remotely normal. Zoro was the first to go back to normal. Let's see if there's booze. I just laughed. At least someone knows a good meal when it's put in front of their face. Sanji smirked amusedly at the strange dog as it ate the plate of sea bass with sauce virge that he placed in front of it. The old bastard would want him back in the kitchen soon, but it was nice to watch someone actually enjoy his food for once, even if it was just a dog. He took a moment, sat at the edge of the Marine captain's desk and pulled out a cigarette. It was probably in poor taste to do this in someone else's place, but the Marines had been causing no short number of inconveniences this morning. They couldn't complain too much if he lit one up. He eyed the large ashtray already half full on the desk. Besides, that captain was a pretty heavy smoker himself, wasn't he? You're a strange-looking one, aren't you? He mused aloud, knowing that he wouldn't get much of a response from the animal. It blinked at him blankly for a moment before going back to its meal. It was a pretty thing with lustrous, white fur. He didn't even know what breed it could have possibly been. Something from the West Blue, maybe. Who could say? It was big, with prominent horns over its brow. He knew better than to touch it, though. It almost bit his hand off when he tried to comb his fingers through its mane. Still, it was incredibly well behaved beyond that. Even now, it ate the plate in as graceful a way as any creature could with no hands to hold a fork or a knife. There was a commotion outside. He heard Marines running around the deck on the other side of the office door. His curiosity getting the best of him, he stepped outside, not minding the dog as it passed him by. A bunch of sailors were running around with their heads cut off doing. Well, he didn't really know what they were doing. He stopped one of them with a hand on the shoulder. The Marine looked a little miffed but slowed down anyway. Hey, what's going on here? The Marine narrowed his eyes. "You're that chef kid, right?" he asked the blonde. "It's best if you head back down to the restaurant for now. We're answering in sauce from a nearby Marine ship. We're directing her in our direction before she sinks." Sanji blinked as he processed the information. Though he couldn't see it, the dog did the same a little further behind. Are you sure? The pirate that did all of this was Straw Hat Luffy?" Captain Smoker asked Lieutenant Fullbody. The two officers were seated across from each other in the white-haired man's office. The Marines were locked out of the restaurant as it had to cater to actual customers in the day's evening hours. So both crews were making do on board and by the dock for now. With a grimace, the captain glared out the nearby window that gave him a clear view of the vessel that Fullbody's crew came with. Though the sun would be setting soon, there was still plenty enough light to make out the damage that had been done to the vessel. It looked as though it was the work of a single cannonball that they were unfortunate enough to have received straight to the side of the hull. The damage was contained enough that they could sail to the nearest dock, thankfully. But it was clear that it wouldn't be much longer before the thing would be totally submerged. Even now, Marines from both groups were doing their best to salvage what they could before it was gone forever. Fullbody gnashed his teeth. "Positive. We were responding to a distress call on the Gecko Islands. We got there as soon as we could, and we caught the assailants just as they were leaving. We tried to confront them, but that pirate, the man cut himself off and bit his tongue." Smoker leaned over his desk and grabbed him by the shoulders. What's wrong? Just spit it out." Smoker could feel his heartbeat quickening. He was close. This search would be worthwhile as long as he struck before Straw Hat knew what was coming. "He threw the cannonball at us," Fullbody suddenly shouted. We saw it with our own eyes. We're not crazy. You have to believe us, Captain Smoker." The admission made those listening still, but none more so than Smoker himself. Such a thing sounded impossible. But he knew better. He thought back to his time back at Marineford and the monsters capable of doing such a thing. One monster in particular. The name Monkey D. Luffy made him swell with uneasiness in a way that he wasn't quite comfortable dissecting right now. It couldn't be. Before he could get another word in, the door creaked open. He was about to give whoever it was a proper dressing down until he noticed that it was Tashiga's dog coming back in and curling itself up on the puppy mattress in the corner of the room. Was the door not closed properly? The mutt was tall enough to reach the handle. Smoker was too caught up in the matter at hand to pay it any mind right now, though. "I believe you," he finally said, turning his attention back onto Fullbody. "We'll catch that man and his crew." "Sir," the lower-ranked officer uttered appreciatively with a nod. Smoker leaned back into his chair and grabbed another couple of cigars. He tried his best to calm his nerves. "What else can you tell me, Lieutenant?" "They were gunning it headed west. Nothing we did could make them slow down, let alone change course," Fullbody reported, recalling the words of his men. "They had their next destination in mind," Smoker concluded. "We can intercept them there." He crushed his finished cigar nubs against the ashtray, both in one hand, before pulling out an East Blue map from the drawer of his desk and laying it flat between them. The man tapped the end of a new set of Coronas against the illustration of the Gecko Islands demonstratively before cutting their caps off. "If they headed west, it could only be one place," the captain said, dragging a finger across the map before stopping at the only landmass on that end of the chart. "We'll find Straw Hat Luffy on the Konomi Archipelago." Neither man noticed the dog suddenly propping itself back onto its feet and leaving the room. The parody was always lively at this time of day, just as it was lively from the moment they opened till the time they closed. As far as restaurants went, it was the cream of the crop. The difference was that the lunch crowd had left and had been replaced with those here for dinner, the highest-paying guests that were often enough either important in some social sphere or trying to impress someone who was. There was a constant, habitual buzz of conversation that did more to add to the ambience than to take away from it. It was a good thing that most would find it inoffensive, since it would be highly unlikely that any patron would be inspired to cut their discussion short. And yet, all noise at the parody suddenly stopped on a dime. The cause was the individual who so unceremoniously entered the establishment, their appearance so jarring that onlookers couldn't help but stop and stare. It was a woman dressed to the nines in a fashion wholly unsuited to the current venue. But that was about as much as anyone could relate back to the appearance of a normal person. She was impossibly tall, with horns like that of a devil sticking out of her head. Even the chefs and waitstaff, notoriously brusque as they were, shared unsure looks amongst themselves as they tried to come up with a way to react to such a novel situation. The East Blue was wholly accustomed to abnormalities such as these. The exception was a well-dressed, blonde-haired man who approached the woman with a confident step. He put out his cigarette in a nearby ashtray as he passed it by so as not to inadvertently offend a potential customer with the smoke. "Welcome, mademoiselle," he greeted her with a bow, the tone of his words as suave as could be. "Do you have a reservation? I'm sure a lovely lady such as your SWHOOH." A series of gasps resounded as, in an absurd display of strength, the strange woman grabbed the blonde by the shoulders and lifted him clean off his feet. She brought him to eye level, where his look of pure shock was met with her cheery grin. Hello, you wouldn't happen to have a map, would you? A map, he mumbled unsurely, trying his best not to show signs of an overreaction. I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to go to this place called the Konomi Archipelago. Have you heard of it? Do you know how to get there? As the strange conversation developed, some of the chefs went back to the kitchen to grab the owner. Someone had to be able to de-escalate this, right? More or less, the blonde answered slowly. Now that he got a better look at her, she seemed familiar somehow. He couldn't quite put his finger on it, though. It's northwest of here, about half a day away depending on the speed of the ship. But why? Great, she cheered, cutting him off again. You guys must have a boat, right? There's the one we use to run errands, he answered again. He was allowing himself to fall victim to the odd back and forth. Take me to that one, then, she decided. Then we'll go to Konomi Archipelago. His brain stalled as the words registered in his head. In the meantime, she shuffled him around until he was being held underarm like some sort of log. Wait, he called out to her. Wait, she paused mid-step. I can't just leave, miss, he tried to explain calmly. I have a job, you see. Even if it wouldn't be for more than a day, I'm afraid I won't be able to put my commitments aside. Not even for a pretty thing like you. She made a shocked face as if only now realizing the enormity of the task she was about to thrust upon a complete stranger. She then bowed awkwardly, doing her best to make it evident that she was trying to bow to the person stuffed under her armpit. Sorry, she apologized in what seemed to be a genuine fashion before running off with him anyway. You. The blonde's complaints fell on deaf ears. The doors to the kitchen slammed open right as she left. Hey, shouted the owner, moving as quickly as he could with his peg leg. You get back here with my shithead. It's settled. Then, Smoker concluded. The man stood up and rolled the map back up. Fullbody braced his legs to do the same. We'll round up the men and ambush Straw Hat Luffy with numbers on our side. If we take my... Boom. The Marine captain's orders were cut off as a violent tremor ran through the ship, shaking the ground and sending furniture and various stationery flying across the walls. The two men were forced to grab onto the desk else they meet a similar fate. What the hell was? Smoker didn't even finish his own exclamation before he stormed out of his office, Fullbody not far behind. He pointed at the closest Marine and howled, "Someone tell me what's..." Again, he didn't finish. The Marine was wide-eyed and slack-jawed, staring up at something behind him. Smoker could only turn around to see what it was. He made a strangled noise once he did. His clenched teeth fell apart, allowing his smokes to fall onto the deck. The masts were gone. Not damaged, gone. Smashed clean off, from the looks of it. All three of them. What in the hell? Hey, Mr. Smoker. His head whipped from left to right in an effort to find where the voice was coming from. When he found what he was looking for, he just about screamed. There was a woman on a smaller motorboat in the waters not far from them. She was waving at them animatedly with a big smile on her face. He really didn't think that she should have been smiling. He was so pissed off that he barely noticed the borderline catatonic blonde chef hanging onto the side of her boat for his dear life. The woman had long and wavy white hair, wrapped around bright red horns and tied up neatly in a ponytail with a golden headpiece. Her shoes, pants, and jacket were over the top with leathers and studs. And he was sure that the tank top that she wore beneath that was somehow just as gaudy and just as expensive. He was sure because he had to pay for it, in energy and patience, if not in cash. Doskoy Panda branding ran from her head to her toes, the same Doskoy Panda merchandise that supposedly went missing on Mirrorball Island. Smoker wasn't an idiot. He was able to put two and two together right away. Thanks for the ride, she shouted loudly, somehow finding the audacity to act appreciative. And, sorry about the ship. I couldn't let you chase after Luffy, is all. His blood ran cold. He thought back to the first time he saw the dog, back in Logtown. Coincidentally on the same day that he received his orders concerning Straw Hat Luffy. The dog followed him, listened to him, threw off his route, and now it stopped him right in his tracks when the opportunity presented itself. The dog wasn't just a dog. It was a pirate, an ally of Straw Hat Luffy and his own devil fruit user. More than strength or size. The most freakish part about this woman was the mental fortitude needed to act like a regular mutt with less than half a brain between the ears for as long as she did. It would have been something to think about had this all not painted a terrifying picture of her supposed captain. Monkey D. Luffy had played him from the start. He knew that Smoker, as a man who ate a Loja, would be the only Marine in the East Blue capable of doing anything to slow him down. So he took preemptive measures. How many steps ahead was that man to have been able to plan out every move so far in advance? Straw Hat would be the first pirate to get past him at Logtown because he pulled Smoker out of Logtown and purposely stranded him somewhere long enough to get behind him. The Marines were no longer standing between 150 million Berry Man and the Grand Line. Damn it, he cursed. The doors of the barrady burst open. Stop, foul woman, the head chef bellowed. Smoker was more than happy to comply. He turned into his Loja form and chased after the boat as a cloud of thick, white smoke. But it was no use. The motorboat was much too fast and they had a head start. The pirate and her captive were long gone. The Marine was quick to circle back once he realized that the attempt was worthless. He materialized in front of an equally incensed head chef and crossed his arms. "Zeph, my ship can't go anywhere," he said frankly. "If you don't want me to personally reinstate your bounty and drag you to Impel Down, you'll steer the Bear 80 toward Konomi right now." Zeph grit his teeth. He didn't take kindly to threats, pirate or not. With that said, he spat over the edge of the dock and huffed. "Men," he hollered, grabbing the attention of every chef nearby. "Clear Thou restaurant. We're getting our shithead back." Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification, so when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.